Well, hey, it's time for Ask the Tech Guys. I'm Leo Laporte. Rod Pyle will be joining us a little later on, our space guy, to talk about the UFO report.
And I'm Mikah Sargent, and we answer the question, if I've got an old iPhone 8, should I upgrade to the 14 or the 15?
Plus, finally, we found the perfect headphones for people who want to watch TV in privacy. It's all coming up next on Ask the Tech Guys.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This is Ask the Tech Guys, episode 1992, recorded Sunday, September 17th, 2023. Gradually, then suddenly. Ask the Tech Guys is brought to you by our friends at IT Pro TV, now called ACI Learning. Keep your IT team's skills up to date with the speed of technology. Visit go.acilearning.com/twit. TWiT listeners receive at least 20% off or as much as 65% off an IT Pro Enterprise Solution Plan. Just fill out the form. You'll get a quote based on the size of your team. Listeners of this program get an ad-free version if they're members of Club TWiT. $7 a month gives you ad-free versions of all of our shows. Plus, membership in the Club TWiT Discord, a great clubhouse for TWiT listeners. And finally, the TWiT Plus feed with shows like Stacy's Book Club, The Untitled Linux Show, The Giz Fizz, and more. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit. And thanks for your support. Well, hey, how are you today? Mikah Sargent's in the house.
Oh, and so is Leo Laporte. He's in the house.
But why? Your socks are so boring.
Well, maybe from a distance they're boring, but they have
get exciting when you get close.
Yeah, they've got speckles of color all in them.
I get that close. This is a show where we answer your computer questions. That's why you ask the tech guys. That's us. 888-724-2884 is the phone number.
Yes, you can call that number during the week when we're not doing the show to leave a voicemail, or during the show to have your question answered live on air. You can also get in touch with us via Zoom. If you go to call.twit.tv, that will lead you to a Zoom call. We suggest doing it from your phone because that way you've got the microphone and the camera right there, so you can get in, you hang out, you hold up your hand. There's a digital hand, not your physical hand. And that way we know that you have a question that you want to ask.
People out there going like
we've
this.
got several people with their digital hands and their physical hands.
But before that, we should talk a little bit about the week's tech news. Did anything at all happen this week?
Yeah. Quite a few things happened this week. Google is the Microsoft of today.
Google went to court.
Google is in court. It's a 13-week?
The judge makes all the decisions. This is not a jury trial.
That's, I think, the most fascinating thing about this. Basically, we have the accusation that Google has used its power in a monopolistic practice to, I love this, the quote, a monopolist flexing, as Google is being examined for kind of swaying people into using Google Google search across different platforms.
As an example, we know they pay Apple somewhere between $9 and $12 billion, billion with a B, every year. It's like a quarter of Apple's profit every year to be the default search engine on iOS and Mac OS. And Google points out, well, you're not stuck with it. It's not so hard to change to some other engine. But what other engine? Google says, oh, you got plenty of choices. You got Bing and you got Bing. And there are things like DuckDuckGo, which are just Bing relabeled.
Right.
They're really, I was a big fan of something called Neva, N-E-E-V-A. I've talked about it. They finally said, we give up because we can't compete against Google because of the power of the default. So Neva was $5 a month. That was another problem, but you were no ads. And that's the other thing. Google subsidizes everything with ads. I loved the idea of no ads because I think it taints Google's search results.
They get in the way.
Yeah. So I paid $5 for Neva. The search results were very good. They had started with Bing, but they were phasing Bing out as others are trying to doing their own search engine. By the way, the Neva founders came from Google. But they said just a few months ago, yeah, we can't do it. It's you cannot compete against Google. You just cannot get market share. Even Bing is struggling. Google is now almost 90% market share. It's a monopoly.
I have a question for you, though, because there is the argument that I have heard that Google has a very good search engine, and that when people try other search engines, they end up going back to Google because Google is the search engine that provides the results that they're after. So how does performance factor into a conversation about monopoly? Is it all just Google getting the market share and paying money to maintain market share? Or is there some argument to be made that Google does a good job with search? Although I will say that has changed, I feel.
Do you remember the first time, did you use anything besides Google in your life?
Yeah, Ask Jeeves.
Okay.
So Yahoo.
Do you remember going from Yahoo, Ask Jeeves, Excite, Alta Vista to Google? Do you remember that? Because I remember it vividly about 25 years ago.
Yes, actually I do. Yes, yeah.
And it was so much better that everybody just switched. For a while, John C. Dvorak would use this as his litmus test of geeks. He would say, what search engine do you use? And if you didn't say Google, well, you obviously don't know what you're doing. I use AOL or I use Excite. But that test didn't work so long because about a year later, everybody was using Google. And Microsoft, by the way, is trying to use the tyranny of the default to get you to use Bing. They're trying their darndest, right? They bug you on Windows constantly. Oh, your Bing would be better with Bing. You got Bing, 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 Bing. They even pay you to use Bing with Bing rewards, and still they're a less than 10% market share, despite all of that. When you use Yahoo search, by the way, that's relabeled Bing. So I think Google used to be, at the beginning, absolutely above, head and shoulders above everything else. But I don't know. I'm getting the feeling in the last year or two that Google search is sucky.
I agree. It is
no longer the best search.
It has become not only just with ads and stuff, but also it's starting to feel like when you find a recipe online and you have to scroll through 9 paragraphs of story about somebody's child who kicked a ball across a field.
And by the way, that's caused by Google, incidentally. That's how you get Google juice.
Oh, right.
So it's even the bad stuff that's happening on the internet
on the
is
other
to some degree created by Google.
I was talking to Paul Thurrott on Windows Weekly this week, and there was an interesting point that he brought up. He said, okay, so let's imagine that Google kind of loses this, and part of its, or maybe it doesn't even lose this, but what Google does to try to get the conversation off of it is the thing that keeps getting cited over and over in this case, Google paying Apple so much money to be the default search engine. So let's say they stop doing that. They stop paying to be the default search engine, and instead Apple chooses a different default or gives you the ability to choose at the beginning. He said, what kind of PR disaster would it be if, let's say, Bing became the default search engine, and then you suddenly have these stories of, for the first time ever, people have learned how to change the default search engine so they can switch from Bing. Exactly.
Oh my God! How do you stop using? Well, there is a, and he knows this. There is a precedent for this because that's what you have to do in Windows.
Yeah,
and people do it.
Yeah, they switch. They switch away.
So, I think the real problem isn't that Google's paying people. The real problem is there's no good alternative. If there were a great alternative. Then you could say, and that's what Google says, oh, there's great alternatives. And then people also say, well, you can always use TikTok for search, which some younger people do, or you can always use Reddit or some other thing that you would search. But I think we need a good search engine. I think Google used to be it. I think we need a competitor. So maybe really, I mean, I don't know what the remedy is at this point. That's the problem, is that the government moves so slowly that at this point it's hard to find a remedy. They may be fined. They may be forced to stop paying Apple. But as you say, that's not going to change anything.
Yeah.
Does
Google have to start paying other search engine providers to make them become more competent? Like this, that is the tough thing. Is one a monopoly if there just simply are no other competitors?
There is a remedy, but it's so draconian. I don't think the government will do this. To compel Google to spin off all of its other stuff. Get rid of YouTube, get rid of, the big one is, let's forget YouTube for the moment. The big one is the ad business. And this is what's polluting Google's results. They are in an ad, really Google's money, almost 80% or even maybe even more, comes from advertising, buying and selling advertising, by the way. They play both ends of the game, which I think honestly is what the government should be going after. There is some action in that area too. So force Google to divest the ad agency. Then what do you get? Then Google will have to succeed as a search company, which would make them better.
Then what? Do they guess they start charging? Then you have $5 a month for Google
Maybe
search?
they charge. I don't know.
Because suddenly that $10 billion that they're certainly making back from the ads that are being served on Apple products is gone. So then they can't pay $10 billion to Apple to be the default search engine.
It solves the whole thing. Maybe let them keep a part of the ad business, but it really solves the whole thing is to strip that part out. That's what's made Google bad. It's what's made Google all its money. It's what gives them the billions of dollars they can hand to Apple and others. And because they have Android, which is another thing you take away, they can tell handset holders, phone people who use Android, oh, by the way, Google search.
Yeah.
They're forcing them, they force them, and the customers say it too, to have Google stuff on their Android device. So there are remedies, but they are so dramatic. I wonder if a judge will have the cojones to say that. I mean, the fact that it's a judge is good. By the way, Google tried to get the judge recused and failed. So, this is a very interesting, this is a case to watch. The Microsoft case in the 90s really did change the landscape. In fact, you might, and many do, argue that Google exists only because Microsoft was forced to step back in the late 90s. That opened the way for Google. I think it's time to force Google to step back because we need it right now. Here's the problem. Maybe this will crystallize it for people who disagree. The problem is if you are not on Google, let's say you have a website or you have an online store, if it's not in the Google search results or it's not highly ranked, it's like you don't exist.
Right.
Because they're the only place people go to find something.
That's how people find something. Yeah.
So I think, perfect world, you'd have 3 or 4 or 5 different search engines equally valid. If you disappear from one, you still are on the other 4. That's what we need. How do we get there? I don't know. I mean, we're kind of so far down
government
this road.
Search engine, government-funded search engine. Another quick thing about this, one of Google's other arguments is that they, along with just not being the other search engine in town, they didn't go to like traditional means of search when they cited other options. They said when someone goes to Amazon, they're not using Google search to find their products. And they said when someone goes to TikTok, they're not using Google search to find the TikTok videos. So they're trying to break out all of these social media networks as their own search engines in a way. And I thought that was...
Do you buy it?
No, that's thin. That is a very thin...
And they do that
argument.
because you can't say, well, there's Bing, Your Honor.
Right.
You can't. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So they have to say, well, it's a different world. And, we did think this about 4 or 5 years ago. In fact, Google at one point said, social is everything. We got to figure this out. That's why Google Plus came along, because they were very worried that all these other means of searching would eat their lunch. They haven't. They haven't eaten their lunch. So this is a tough one. Jonathan Cantor was the Justice Department official who was not a judge, but the Justice Department official who was leading the Google advertising case, and the judge will not order Cantor to recuse himself, even though Cantor has worked for competitors apparently in the past. That was a story I was talking about. That happened on Friday. Anyway, that's not the only big story. I do believe Apple announced something this week. Am I wrong?
That was this week, wasn't it? Man, time just flies. Time just flies.
So I ordered, and boy, it was not easy. I fought Apple.
Oh, me too. It was
Apple.
It was a mess.
Every year this happens. Can they not fix this?
This was the worst year in a while, I will say. I usually am able to get in this morning or that morning.
So we're the cuckoo nuts
that
get up at 5 a.m. Pacific time
on the day to make sure we can get our phones.
Yeah. But that's because we need it so we can show it to you.
Exactly. And it was, I sat and waited. It rolled and rolled and rolled and rolled. It didn't show up. And this is the thing, because it worked so well for me last year and the year before, for the most part, I was being kind of smug. You know what? I'm just going to have my iPhone. And so I'm just going to wake up. I'm going to open up my iPhone. I'm going to do that. After it kept spinning, I finally went and grabbed an iPad, went to the store on that. And then it kept spinning, and I'm like, well, great, this is not going to be good. So I went into my office and opened up a computer.
You did the browser.
Finally, it was the browser for me that worked.
I think so. For me, it was the iPad that worked. The phone never did. The store never did wake up on the phone. I think that they flip switches to to like regionally and they just randomize it. They apparently cannot let everybody on at the same time to order at the same time. And even though I was able to get in, the order failed about 10 times. Yep. Who cares? Anyway, we were able to get it for
color?
Friday. So Lisa wanted black.
Okay.
I think she made a mistake. Have you seen the fingerprints on the blue and black?
Yeah, but she'll put
event?
a case on it.
Yeah, she's going to put a case on it. I ordered natural because it's going to match my watch, which is natural titanium, and my watch band. So we'll see. We'll have two, and that'll be Friday. So a couple of points on the technology that you're buying. First of all, don't. Don't do as we do, unless you have a really old iPhone. If you have an iPhone 12 or maybe even 13, but not if you have a 14.
No, if you have a 14, there's no reason.
One thing we're learning, the 3-nanometer processor that they put in there is not that much faster because this is a complicated technical issue, but it's not the 3-nanometer node that we're going to eventually see. It's an interim node, which is essentially the same as the 5. So it's very similar in performance, a few percentage points faster. You won't notice a difference. They made the graphics processing faster, noticeably faster, 10, 15% faster, by adding GPUs, not by having faster GPUs. And this is the point. This is not going to be a faster, which is very disappointing to me because I really thought when we got to 3 nanometers, bam,
Zoom. Yeah.
Zoom. Battery life is not improved. Speed is marginally improved.
More
they pushed
RAM.
that game thing. They have 8 gigabytes now instead of 6. Now you might say 8 gigabytes. What are you crazy? But that's how it works in iOS. It used to be 6. So I think the only thing worth talking about, if you have, an older phone, the 15. What do you call it? Regular?
The non-pro.
the 15 and the 15 Plus are the same chip as the 14, which was great. The same cameras as the 14. They got the dynamic island. That's going to be a nice upgrade for you at a lower price. The people who buy the Pro version
are fools. Oh,
well, they're photographers.
Yes,
because that's the only argument for this. I think.
Yeah.
For this phone is
7 cameras.
I thought it was very interesting that they said that because Apple and most camera phone manufacturers don't usually talk about focal length like a regular lens focal length. They'll talk 2x, 1x, 3x. They won't say 120 millimeters because it isn't, but it's equivalent, right? So they said it's the equivalent of 7 lenses ranging from 13 millimeters, which again, these are equivalents. They're not, it isn't actually 13 millimeters.
Can I ask a stupid question?
Yeah.
What do those measurements actually refer to? It's the length of what? The outer lens to the inner lens?
Yeah, the focal. No, the film plane to the outer lens.
Okay.
So it's never going to be 120.
Yeah, because it's not literally 120 millimeters. Yeah.
They're also talking about aperture, which is the opening and closing of an iris in your camera. There's no iris in the iPhone.
Right.
So all of this is equivalent so we can understand as a photographer, and that's where they're aiming this at. As photographers, they're saying, Leo, when you go out with your Sony camera or your Canon camera or your Nikon, you bring a camera kit that has 7 lenses in it. Now you just bring your phone. And that's good. And so they're increasing the optical zoom now. Now, correct me. This is why it's confusing because it isn't really 120 millimeters. I think it's 3x, or is it 5? No, it's 5.
5x
optical. It was 3x.
Yes.
3 times. Don't even think about digital zoom. Think about optical zoom. So it was 3 times optical zoom.
Yes.
And now because of they're using. It's so funny. They're using little prisms to bounce the light so it can travel farther. They can now get to 5x. It's not a periscope lens. It's sort of like a periscope lens.
It's sort of
a periscope. But they're able to get to equivalent of 5x. And that's your real zoom, your optical zoom, as opposed to your digital. Because digital means we're just zooming in on the image. So they're going from a very wide angle, 13 millimeters, to a fairly telephoto, 120 millimeters. The other thing they did that makes photographers happy is you can set your default. So you could say, I want to be the 35 millimeter equivalent, which is what I'll probably set it for, because that's a good. It's not super wide, but it's a good medium width. It's actually, by the way, basically what your normal lens was on your iPhone 14.
And speaking of that, I've actually done it now. When you get the update to iOS 17 with your iPhone 14 Pro or iPhone 14 Pro Max, you can take those super high resolution photos now. So even without needing to get the new 15 Pro,
in ProRes.
In ProRes, yeah. In ProRes, and also
they call it ProRes RAW, which gives you all the pixels.
So you can do it in ProRes RAW, or you can do it in HEIF Pro, is what they call it. The new.
Well, that's an interesting one too. So they have the high efficiency format, which is compressed. It is a lossy compression. RAW means nothing is compressed. In theory, it means nothing compressed. So they're compressing it, but that means on the new phones, 5 megabytes per image instead of 48 megabytes per image. It's a big difference, and we'll have to look at the difference. But HEIF, the high efficiency image format, is a pretty good compression format.
The photo, let's see, this photo is 48 megapixels, 8064 by 6048, coming in at 68.1 megabytes. That's how large. Yeah.
By the way, I ordered the 512 gig phone because of that.
Nice.
That and the ability to shoot 4K 60 frames a second video, which will be nice.
And the HEIF version of that photo is 4.5 megabytes.
Yeah, it's amazing. So that's a lot of compression, but it's lossy. So, well, you just have to play with these formats. I think the point from Apple's point of view is we're giving you some choices, and we're describing it in the way a photographer would describe it. There's one other thing they did to make the photographers happy. They replaced the the silencer switch with a camera button. Now you say they call it an action button. It ain't an action button. I mean, you can make it some other action, but I think most people will be, you press it and hold it, the camera pops up. Now you turn it sideways, and it's a camera.
Yeah, point and shoot.
I think that's very interesting. So this is Apple clearly realizing this is the number one reason people use a smartphone. It ain't going to be faster. The screen is not much better. It's not any better.
I think it's just brighter.
Brighter. The biggest thing they were able to do is brighter. Lots more nits. But it's really about the camera. If I did not need to review it, I think I probably would stick with my 14 Pro Max.
Yeah, unless you're just you have some weird love for titanium that you just couldn't hold back.
That does make it lighter. Did Jason Snell or anybody talk to you about? He said it felt much lighter in his hand.
Yeah, and somebody did some calculations where, due to the way that the frame is created now, where it's the sort of wafer frame, and the fact that it's titanium, there's a change in they did some physics calculations. There's a change in the momentum of the phone that ends up making it feel lighter. I'll have to find that.
It just means lower mass. I don't know what they're talking about. Momentum's based on the mass of the phone, which means basically on Earth, mass and weight aren't the same thing.
It does feel lighter, yeah.
You got a call in the middle of it's lighter because there's nothing in there.
Oh.
By the way, there's nothing in mine either because I gave it to my sister, so I have to use an Android phone for the next 5 days. What is that? Is that the fine weave?
This is the new fine woven case.
Wow, I haven't seen one. How'd you get one so fast?
It came yesterday.
Oh.
I ordered it on day one, and it came yesterday, so now I get to look at it for the next week.
I hate it when Apple does that. You've got a package from AI at the door. My phone came early. No. It feels nice.
Yeah, I like it. I'm worried about it getting dirty, though.
I've seen some people say it might not wear well. We'll see.
Yeah.
I bought my normal leather wallet case because I don't care if cows die.
How could you? Those cows were already dead. You're fine.
Somebody was eating the insides. That's nice. I did get one of these just to try it. That's very nice. What color is that?
This is, let's see what they call it because it always changes names.
It looks like dark charcoal.
It is evergreen is what they're calling this color.
There's a slight green. Are you disappointed it's not as green as you would like?
No, this is the kind of green, this is one of the kind of greens that I like.
Deep green.
Yeah, I like deep
you're in the middle of the forest.
Indeed, yes.
All right. I also ordered the new Ultra, even though I would not do that if I were anybody else, because I want to do this.
You want to do the pinch.
You have to have the new watches,
yes,
right?
Yes,
the
you do.
The pinch is not a watch OS feature except for accessibility.
Exactly. If you want to do the new double tap gesture, I have to be very careful about how, if you want to do the new double tap gesture, you will need a SIP 9, right? And a 9, the next processor, basically. But this is able to be done in other ways with accessibility.
I'm mad at Apple, by the way. We used to call these SoCs, system on a chip. Now they're calling them SIPs.
System in package.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you see, they package it so nicely.
They made a new name. We knew the name. What's the SIP thing? I heard him say SIP. I said, what are you sipping at? What's going on? Yes, I should say that it does. This action button can be anything, including the silence that you want.
Yeah, you could just have it do the ring silent.
But I think I'm going to make it a camera button. I bet you people end up making it a camera button.
Camera button. I've seen a lot of people talk about how they turn on their flashlight a lot, so they'll make it a flashlight.
Oh, you'd have to use
button.
it a lot to make that a worthwhile choice.
Yeah.
Plus the accidental action.
Yeah, having your light turn on.
Have you decided? You could make it a shortcut because you know people.
Yeah, I do know people. I know people. I haven't decided. I really don't know yet what I'm going to do with it. Yeah, I don't know yet.
Scooter X is telling me SIP goes a step beyond SOC.
Oh.
Because there's more components. And then get ready, because don't get so used to SIP, because next is SOP, which is a step beyond SIP.
What does it stand for? System
on a package.
On a package instead of system in a package? Substrate on package, maybe. Who knows?
Anyway, it's all there to befuddle.
SOC versus MCM versus SIP versus SOP.
Thanks to SemiconductorDigest.com.
That's my new law firm. SOC, MCM, SIP, SOP.
So these are industry terms. You can't really blame Apple, but I think they like the idea.
I guess they're following the rules.
Yeah, they're following the rules. It's really how much is on the thing. It's not just a chip anymore. It's a system.
Oh, I also ordered a new USB-C cable from Apple because it's not because it's braided, but because it can do 240 watts max power. Not that I need it. So yeah, that arrived.
This was another question. Is this some sort of MFI cable that has different capabilities? Is there a chip in there? It is a standard USB-C port, and standard USB-C cables will all work. And so it is not only Apple that could make a high power USB charging.
If it's thick enough to do it, then it can do it. That's the only difference between this and other cables that I have, is that it's even thicker than a Thunderbolt cable.
It's thickerer.
It's thickerer, yeah.
Okay. We will have those phones and watch and all that stuff next week.
Indeed,
and we'll give you
Friday.
our review.
Oh, yeah, so we'll be able to talk about it on Sunday.
Yes.
That Sunday. That's fantastic.
Yay!
Woo!
It is 100% standard according to 9 to 5 Mac. They really looked into this, and it is not MFI certified. You can use all your cables. And I'm relieved.
Yeah, I'm relieved. That would have been...
I am not going to go out and replace my AirPods Pro just to get a Type-C charger. And I did go to the Apple Store just to do some research on Friday, and they do not yet have the Type-C AirPods Pro, but they will. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to buy AirPods Pro, you might want to wait till Type-C comes out.
Yes, I agree.
But, big deal. You probably have a few lightning cables. It'd be nice to use them for something.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah. What am I going to do
with these? You're going to throw them all out?
Oof. I'll give them to people, I guess, who still rock lightning.
Boy, we have talked this.
We've exhausted
to death.
It all.
Let me do a commercial, and then finally,
we'll take your questions.
God, these guys are verbose. The verbose twins will take a break and let you talk.
The VTs.
The VTs. Our show today brought to you by those great folks at ACI Learning. Who you might say, well, that's our friends at IT Pro TV. We've known IT Pro since they started. And now, by partnering with ACI Learning, they are even better than ever. IT teams will significantly benefit from training by ACI Learning. ACI has kept all the fun and personality of IT Pro TV, but now amplified with robust solutions for all your training needs. And very important, your team will still love these videos. They're informative, but they're engaging and they're fun. Short form, so you can watch them whenever you got a minute. It's about 20 to 30 minutes long, most of them, so during lunch break or on the way home from work. 7,200 hours to choose from. That library is growing because There's a lot more new content. There's new certifications. There's new versions of software, all on demand. You train when you want to. You know the name IT Pro TV from many years with us. Now part of ACI Learning, IT Pro's expanded capabilities include more support for IT teams by keeping their courses updated in every way, including Microsoft Cloud, AWS. 10 years ago, was there cloud certs? Now everybody's got to get a cloud cert. How about those cybersecurity certs? Man, that's become job one. CompTIA. One proud tech team leader, an MSP, said, I had 110 engineers in the field. We had dozens of IT Pro accounts, and last year alone, they passed over 40 certs. Imagine taking your team, giving them training they love, they enjoy, because they're getting new skills, and getting new certs for all of them. It's just a great feeling. ACI Learning's completion rate on its videos is 50% better than the rest of the industry. That's, again, because it's training that you'll love. It's engaging. Teams also love those practice labs, not only because you can set up Windows Server and Windows clients all in a HTML5 browser on any device. That's great, but you can also use it if you want to try deploying new apps on your existing setup or updates, but you don't do it on the live system, you do it in the practice labs. And there's practice tests, too, at ACI Learning. That means you can take the exam, take those sample questions, and make sure you're fully prepared before you sit for the real thing. And I can tell you, it's a confidence booster. I know this from my own experience, to be able to do the practice tests, because by the time you sit for the real test, you feel good. You know the material, you know the format, you're ready. IT Pro, now ACI Learning, keeps your business from risking redundancy by consistently offering the most up-to-date certifications and courses you can get anywhere. Provides you with a personal account manager to make sure you're on track, getting the job done. Your account manager works with you to make sure your team only focuses on the skills that matter to your organization. No more redundant training, no more boredom, because I did all this before. And by the way, ACI Learning is ISO certified, so you're getting the world-class training your team deserves. Keep your IT team up to speed with the speed of technology. Visit go.acilearning.com/twit. Did you get that? Go.acilearning.com/twit. You'll get a free trial. And by the way, when you're signing up for a team, as much as 65% off an IT Pro Enterprise Solution Plan. That, of course, is based on the size of your team. When you complete the form, you give them the information they need, they can give you a quote. But it could be as much as 65% off, which is amazing. Training tailored to your needs. That's go.acilearning.com/twit for individuals, for teams. There's no one better. It's like a warm bath. Let's, I guess, do some calls.
Let's bathe in the pool of questions.
Look at all the hands raised.
So many
I've never
hands
seen
raised.
so many.
So I think James was the first one hanging out in the room.
James gets because he was the first in line.
Yeah.
We'll pick up James and bring him into the Tech Guys Stargate. Ooh, 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 ooh. Hi, James.
Hello. How are you guys doing?
We're great. Welcome to Ask the Tech Guys. Where are you calling from?
Much. Las Vegas, Nevada. If you look behind me, you'll see the racetrack.
Let me see. Oh, boy. We're sitting right there. Everybody's mad.
Yeah, you're right here.
Everybody's mad because they took the trees out in front of the Bellagio fountain.
Oh, they are very, very upset.
What?
And the Bellagio got in a little trouble because they kind of fibbed about it also.
They said they wouldn't. Or they would take him out and put him back, but no, they killed him.
They were going to transplant him.
Yeah.
But before they got to say that statement, the news already showed all these sawed-off trees at the concrete level, and it's like, well, how do you transplant a tree you already chopped up?
Tree.
Oh,
but see, they're putting a grandstand where the fountains are.
Exactly. Yeah, they already started the foundation in the fountains.
Wow.
And that was a couple weeks ago. And of course, as you know, it's going to go out of the fountain onto the sidewalk, to the cable barriers of the racetrack.
Formula One racing, which is the pinnacle of racing. Oh, you got tickets?
Here.
Oh, you're by the Sphere.
I'm actually working. I just got offered a position yesterday.
Nice.
So I'll get the Sphere.
Will you get to see the race at all?
I'm pretty sure I will. It's an usher position, so I'll be telling people where to sit, where not to sit, and then of course when the race comes on, I'm going to turn around and
You bet. You bet. Oh, that's great. And that'll be fun to watch those cars go around that sphere. That's going to be a very nice little chicane in there. That'll be really fun.
it's a nice. And then I think they're going to broadcast, like the closed circuit.
Oh yeah, they put the big screens
sphere.
up. Yeah. Oh, on the sphere. Oh, how
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they're going to have a blast.
Max
It's gonna be
Verstappen will be
great
like a
experience.
giant Verstappen balloon.
So they're actually using Vegas streets to make
so
the
Formula
track?
One likes to, some of them are dedicated tracks. Many of them are, like Austin. But in some cases, the Singapore race we just saw this morning,
this
they're
morning.
on the streets of the city. And in this case, in Vegas, we're going to be sitting right on the Vegas Strip, which will be the high-speed DRS zone, the straightaway.
212 miles per hour.
Oh my goodness!
So really, we're going to pay a lot of money to watch cars go.
Yeah.
Did you see it? No.
Blink and you miss
There
it.
it goes.
Yeah.
So,
You
yeah.
may feel the air as it comes by because the downforce is going to
bet.
generate some turbulence.
I am so excited. This is a once in a life. It's so expensive to watch a Formula One race. In fact, I have a good friend, sold his company, made a lot of money, spent it all going around the world seeing Formula One races.
What?
Yeah, last time I talked to him, he was living in a Motel 6. So I'm not going to do that. I am going to go to one. It's for my birthday, and this will be it, the Las Vegas race. And November 19th, I think, something like that. Anyway, thank you for giving me the, I'm getting excited. Give me the preview.
It is. It's they're putting the lights up now because, as you know, it's a night race. The race doesn't even start till 10 p.m.
10 p.m. But that
And,
Singapore race was also a night race, which is great.
Correct. Yeah, they do that one at
And
night also.
so it's so beautiful with the lights and everything. I think this is going to be quite an experience. And I'm glad you're going to get to see it. And I was hoping to get to see a show in the MSG Dome. That thing is going to be
So cool.
amazing.
Yeah, you too. I think Friday is the first show. Friday or Saturday.
They
is
wouldn't
the
take my
first
credit
U2.
card, and I took that as a message
Sign, yeah.
that I should
I
probably.
looked at it and I'm like, spoke to the wife and it's like,
It's very, very expensive. What can we do for you?
so still kind of on the same thing you guys closed your sermon on. I have a Pro Max, which everybody would probably be interested to know. I put it in Discord. I literally got my tracking number about 15, 20 minutes ago.
So they shipped. Congratulations.
So,
But don't
I know
get
it's
your
gonna be
hopes
showing
up.
on
I've
the
been through this,
22nd.
as I'm sure you have as well, many times. Even if it gets to the FedEx office on Wednesday,
hold it.
they're going to hold it till Friday no matter what. So.
I know. I was thinking about it, because there's always like on Mac rumors or something.
Somebody
like,
ends up.
somebody got it a day early or something like that.
Well, if you do, call us.
We'll do.
We'll put you on
the
put you on the air. We'll give you a special show just for you.
Thank you. So the question is, my current iPhone, I have the beta. This is probably maybe a more Mikah thing. And I know it's been, iCloud updates. And if I remember correctly, let's say the new phone has to be on the beta to restore.
Okay, this is a good question. If you are running the GM version of iOS, so if you're
talking about 17.
yeah, if you've updated to the
17,
latest
yes.
to
And
iOS
the
17,
last version that was updated for beta users was the Golden Master.
was the Golden Master. If you're on that, and the version that you're going to get that comes with the new phone will be iOS 17, the release version, I've had no problem doing that shift. If you're on a beta version that's from before, then the restore did not work for me. But given that, I was able to. Now, it will depend on what kind of restore you're doing. So for example,
iCloud.
Okay, yeah. So, okay. Then that does change things. If you want to do the iCloud restore, they do need to be running the same version. So,
I'm screwed then.
When I've done that in the past,
I'm in deep trouble.
you're running beta?
So, and I have to say, by the way, the phone to phone is the way to go over iCloud.
Yes, I agree.
Because I gave my sister my 14 Pro Max. She had, I think, a 12. No, she had a 10X. S or something. So we went through the whole process. She had a SIM card. I was ready to pull it out, but no, this new 14 has eSIM. It transferred over beautifully. It took maybe a half an hour, and essentially the new phone was identical to her old phone. She was up to date. I made sure she was at 16.1.1 or whatever the current version is. But obviously, I will not have that phone to do phone to phone, so I made sure my phone was backed up to iCloud. But it was backed up, I'm sad to say, with 17 beta.
I didn't know you were running the beta.
Yeah. And not only that, old beta, because I hadn't had a chance to get the Gold Master. So are you saying that when I get my new phone, I will not be able to restore? I'll tell you what, I'll be the guinea pig. I'll let you know next
because I don't
Sunday.
know. That especially is a unique situation where you're not backed up to the latest.
They didn't tell me I shouldn't give away my phone to my sister.
No.
Give me a break.
There's going to be a way for you to be able to do that. It might take longer, though.
Yeah.
So one thing that you can do is get your current phone that you have, and on Monday, you basically uninstall the profile on it that gives it access, or in this case, now with a new way that we do it, you just turn off.
Flip the switch.
Yeah, just flip the switch to turn off, and then force restart your phone, volume up, volume down, hold down the side button. Basically, that kind of like tells it, oh, no, we're just doing that. And as long as you're on the release candidate, the Gold Master, then your new phone should recognize that as such.
Should match.
Then you need to make sure, one thing that I failed to mention is you need to make sure to do one more iCloud backup, essentially.
Yeah.
So that way it's kind of sent to the system, it knows. Then, that iCloud backup or iCloud restore should work fine. But yeah, Leo, this will be interesting. I'm curious.
I didn't even know I was making myself a guinea pig. I don't think it's going to
this one thing, it's with, they release the betas basically to anybody.
Right.
Yeah, now they do.
Around. And so I'm sure a lot of people flip their phones over to the beta, and they're going to get these new ones on Friday. And
this is going to be
hopefully
messy.
nothing comes out between now and Friday as far as beta 8 or whatever number they're on, because people are going to I'll get the latest. They get the new phone, and then it's going to pop up, which I've seen previously. Right. It'll say, oh, you need to be on blah, blah, blah to restore.
So our recommendation, and I have to say this has changed over time, but now our recommendation is do, if you can, the phone-to-phone. When you get the new phone, take your old phone, even a really old phone, and do a phone-to-phone. If you are on the beta, then before you do any of that, update.
Yep.
Like right before, so you get at least whatever the latest version is. I would also, and Apple will give you an option to do this, make sure everything's backed up to iCloud if you have enough space. Yeah. And then I think it's going to go smoothly. I really do. I was so impressed. In years past, I've many years ago, I said plug it into your computer, do a full encrypted backup, then restore. Then the iCloud backup got better and better. I think the 2 years ago I did an iCloud backup, but these days I was so impressed when I did this. Phone-to-phone works so nicely. You don't need a cable to connect them. I think they probably have to be on the same Wi-Fi network. Yep. They use Bluetooth to signal to say, hey, here I am, and they do that little cloud thing.
Do the cloud, you put them over each other.
And it was so smooth and easy. I thought, we'll go to bed and it'll be done in the morning. No, it was done. It really is it's the way to go these days.
The only thing I suggest is have them plugged in.
Didn't Lisa have a bug last year when you guys did the 14?
She did. I remember
you sitting down in the end table, and you woke up the next morning, and she's
she found a
she had
rare.
To reset it again and redo it again.
Yeah, she had to. In fact, she was very proud of herself because for some reason she couldn't ask me, and so she went online.
Still asleep.
I was still asleep, so she went online to YouTube and found it wasn't I don't think it was a DFU. It might have been a DFU, but she found not the basic reset and not the hardest reset, but the kind of the middle ground that got her phone back, and she was able then to finish it up. So she got it before I woke up. I'm surprised she didn't wake me up, to be honest. Hey, Leo. Anyway, good luck. Which one did you get?
I got the 15 Pro Max 512.
What color?
In blue.
Oh, blue. Team blue.
You got blue?
They were asking in
Lisa
the
got black.
about cases.
I got titanium.
And I said, I got a clear case, MagSafe.
Oh, yeah. I thought about
If you're going to pay for the blue or get the blue, you got to show it off.
You got to show it off. Absolutely. Yeah. We'll see. I always order, I carry these wallet cases because I like to have all my stuff. Well, that's good. I've lost all my stuff. But
Somewhere he's got
somewhere
the
my
case.
wallet is. And that's really the, for me, because if I have a wallet and an iPhone, I just want it all in one thing. It makes it bulky and stupid, but. Well, good. It's nice to talk to you. Thank you for giving me a race update. I'm getting very excited. I'll see you in November.
All right.
I'll look for you at the
Be safe.
Sphere.
Thanks for calling.
Take care.
All right. You guys take care.
All right. It's time to play the Space Force theme. I should have gotten it ready for Mr. Rodney Pyle because we are Space Forcing. Rod Pyle, the host of This Week in Space with Tarek Malik, joins us every month to talk about the latest in space action.
The Space Force now has...
Oh, I hate it. Everybody
There's
does
no
this to me.
pure form of the
I
Space
just want
Force
the pure Space Force.
into my veins.
We're the mighty watchful eye, guardians beyond the blue, the invisible front line, war fighters brave and true.
Brave and true.
Boldly reaching
Okay, we don't have to play the whole thing. Rod will
To
leave.
space?
Oh, he's lasering us. Ladies and gentlemen,
standing guard
both night and day, Rod Pyle, the Space Force from on high. By the way, happy 4th anniversary to the Space Force.
Oh, wow. Has it been 4
Sure
years?
thing.
What have they done in that time?
No,
It
you
was
know
bad
what?
enough without the lyrics,
They did a launch, didn't they? Space Force did a launch just recently, I saw.
What did they launch?
A thing.
Something we can't talk
A
about.
space
A
thing.
space laser, obviously, to
I
protect
mean, we've been
the
doing
world.
launches all along, but now it's under the aegis of Space Force, right?
Yeah.
Was it Air Force before, or was it before?
There was Space Command and Air Force, so Air Force handled the launches. Space Command was more of a tracking and operations thing. That was actually in Los Angeles.
That's such a
And
cool
then Space
name.
Force kind of absorbed that.
Command.
Yeah, I'd rather be in Space Command. if you
Yeah,
ask
me too. That's such a
They
cool
gave
Yeah,
you
but
the
Space
choice.
Force has the different uniform,
Oh.
kind of.
So-
I designed one that looked very much like the uniforms that the guards at the Vatican wear with the puffy pants and everything, and I thought that was pretty cool. But
I think there should
for
be a
some reason they
Swiss
didn't-
Guard for the Air Force.
Didn't agree, yeah.
See, especially
So,
if
Leo,
you're,
when's your
if you're
birthday?
bumping around, you
My
have that
birthday is
protection.
November 29th. Why do you ask?
Because I'm turning 67 today. I'm beating you by 2 months.
Oh,
Happy
you're a
birthday.
little
Happy
teeny bit
birthday.
older. Happy birthday, Rod.
Feeling every day of it, too.
Oh, man. Well, you
And
don't
you may
look
wonder why I'm coming to you from inside the boat today.
That's
perhaps.
true.
Why?
Is it raining?
Because, no, I opened my M1 MacBook Pro the other day. Here comes the question. And my battery went from being just fine to saying, oh, no, I'm dead. I'm only
Oh.
going to charge 1% the rest of my life. Does that happen overnight like that?
Yes.
Okay.
It is a cliff. So all lithium-ion batteries have a certain number of cycles where a cycle is one fully charged and fully discharged, and it's typically around 500.
It feels too soon, though, for an M1.
It's way too soon. Something went wrong.
Well, I already had to replace the screen on this, so I think I got
gosh.
it. But
Maybe a little
well.
sea air got to it. But
Well, the
often
thing is-
it's often the case. It'll degrade slowly, then it's like going bankrupt. It happens slowly, then all at once. So it gets down to 80% or so, but there's a certain point beyond which it just goes, I'm not going to hold a charge, so I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah.
And that will be you might not notice the degradation unless you look at a battery meter and you see.
Yeah, it is feeling
That's
rather
way too
lemony,
fast.
though.
It shouldn't be. You didn't charge it 500 times. So, I mean, all the way up. And all the
Yeah,
way down.
I would try to talk to Apple about that and see if they can't do something.
probably
Take
still
it to
under
the nice
warranty.
people at the-
yeah.
Did you buy
grocery
Apple
store.
Care?
Of course not.
I hate that question.
Because every time I buy Apple Care, I go in and they go, oh, this isn't covered. And you need a new motherboard.
I hate that question. Every time I bring in my computer, they say, "Did you buy Apple Care?" And I say, "No."
Have you seen that video of the woman that's very upset at the mall because they're not helping her with her device? And so you just hear her go, "I was told by Apple Care." And then the video just stops.
Grab the phone and throw her out.
Let's move on to more productive
Anyway,
things.
Yes.
anyway, that is worth working on, and that is not normal failure. That's
I
way
would
too
take it
soon.
in and say exactly what you said, that overnight this happened and that you've had to replace the screen on it.
It's probably not the battery. In other words, it's probably some circuitry in there.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll give me, if it is circuitry, they'll give me an excuse to buy the new 15-inch Air, which would be okay.
Which is very nice. That's what I have right here. Micah has the 13-inch.
I have a 13-inch, and I'm very happy with
They're
it.
absolutely identical except for the screen size. In every other respect, they are the same.
Perfect.
I like the 13, actually. I have the 13 at home.
I
I'm
like
waiting.
the 13, but these old eyes, you know.
Yeah. If you can wait until the spring, you'll be able to get an M3 based. Although now, I'm not sure what node they're going to be using on the 3 nanometer. If it's the same node with the iPhone, it might not be as fast, much faster.
I think that's why we're not getting an October event. I think it's because they're waiting on that node to be what you need it to be.
Yeah, this is.
There's AppleCare. Anyway,
Mr. AppleCare?
No, Ms.
There's the
woman
video.
yeah.
Okay, woman flips out at Apple Store. Employee. All right.
Anyway.
Now I have many questions to ask you.
Well, okay, and I do want to talk about the new Musk biography.
Okay, there you go. What is the story, Morning Glory?
Oh my God! So we all know Walter Isaacson. He's
personal friend,
chronicler of great men. And,
Einstein, Newton, Jobs, and now Musk.
Brutus,
Benjamin Franklin,
the guy who killed Caesar.
Really? He did a biography of Brutus? No. Okay.
I'm sorry.
I don't think there's much to say. You just did the biography of Brutus. That was it right there. He killed Caesar, then Caesar killed him. It was over.
So it puts Musk in some fairly august company, obviously. And so I haven't read the book yet.
I was thinking.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
Guys.
I'm sorry.
Now they're going to play the Space Force theme again. So I haven't had a chance to read the book yet. I want to do a review of it pretty quick, but I did read a wonderful review in The Guardian by Gary Steingart. And 3 of my favorite excerpts. Who or what is to blame for Elon Musk? A dull, insight-free doorstop of a book. Isaacson, quote, Isaacson comes from the eyes lit up school of cliched writing. The rest of his prose, workmanlike, bordering on AI.
Is Elon a pillock or a genius?
Well, so, we've talked about it before. You guys know as much or more about him as I do. I just know him from the space side. It's so hard to parse this stuff, and I have my opinions. We'll see if they're changed by this book at all. But, clearly, because he wears his life on his sleeve like nobody else, we've seen all the dark sides of this guy, the multiple marriages, dropping kids every 10 feet, wherever he happens to be.
I don't care about the personal life. I'm going to say that. I care about his impact on us. And that's been a mixed bag. I think, he said on Saturday Night Live, I brought electric cars to the world, and I reinvented electric cars, and I'm sending people to Mars in a rocket ship. Did you think I was also going to be a chill, normal dude? There, in a nutshell, by the way, is the whole problem, because he thinks he should be something because he reinvented electric cars, putting that in big quotes, and is going to send people to Mars, even bigger quotes. That's what I care about, is his impact on society and on us. And, one of the revelations in the Isaacson book is that he used his power as the owner of the Starlink satellites to cut off Ukraine so they couldn't attack Russia, so there wouldn't be again, scare quotes, nuclear war.
Right.
Is appalling. Isaacson's walked that back. I don't believe it. I think Isaacson wrote the truth, and that Elon called him and said, you better back off.
It'll be interesting over time to see if details of their relationship during the writing of this book emerge. And since I haven't read it, I can't talk too much about it, but I certainly could talk about Musk. And, the core of my feelings about him, his personality aside, because it is challenging, is, just from my lens, here's a guy who came along with lots of money but no experience in aerospace or rocketry, and the traditional aerospace companies sneered at him, said, oh yeah, nice kid, you're peeking on the circus tent, we'll see you around. And within 15 years, he had virtually revolutionized the launch market and now owns more than half of it. And if it wasn't for him, China would be outpacing us in launches about 2 or 3 to 1.
Yeah, but that's
necessarily metric. But
he did that, but it's because NASA didn't do its job. NASA was letting Russia launch our stuff. So I guess he's marginally better than having Russia launch our rockets.
Yeah, but let's be careful about NASA doing their job. I mean, their job is to spend taxpayer money responsibly and explore space. And the shuttle was not the most responsible system. I mean, it worked for 30 years.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't do their job. They didn't do their job for a long time.
But Congress really
they were corrupted by politics. I agree.
A bad deal with the shuttle. I mean, it was a brilliant design starting. It was still probably ahead of what the technology really could do.
Well, they've done the same thing with Artemis, by the way, because they want to make sure every piece is the
SLS.
Built, SLS rather, is built in a different region, so every member of Congress gets their little pork barrel, and it's not how you do it. So what happens? Private
that's
industry
how they did it for a long time.
I know. Congress fumbles.
Yeah.
Private industry comes along, and now we're saying, well, gosh, we shouldn't. Elon has so much power. That's not right. Well, that's what you gave him.
Let's look at that for a moment. Why did they give him that much power? So we had United Launch Alliance, which is a combine of Boeing and Lockheed Martin, building the Atlas rocket, launching military payloads with very their rockets run from $200 million to $500 million. And here comes Musk saying, I can do it for less. And again, NASA and Air Force said, prove it. And he did. So his launches, depending on how complicated the integration and all that is, range anywhere from 50 million to about 100. If you're talking about the Falcon 9, that's transformational. So regardless of what you think of the guy personally, he did reinvent that market. He really boosted us up on the world stage in terms of being able to handle this stuff. And, to be fair, NASA has always hired private industry to do these things for them. It's just that they tended to run it differently with these, cost plus contracts and the heavy hand of NASA inspectors in the background, which they didn't do with SpaceX, and it worked out.
Could NASA, if it had seen this coming, for instance, put up Starlink-like internet access satellites? And
not at that price. No way.
So,
no.
I mean, but the problem is we now have some private individual who is arguably nuts making our foreign policy.
Yes, and that's a separate conversation, and I find that very discomforting.
Yes.
As you do.
I don't care how many kids he has.
Yeah.
I don't want him deciding.
Don't start a world war.
The Observer opinion piece in The Guardian today says Elon Musk likes to think he saved us from Armageddon. He just brought it closer. And I think this is problematic. And I guess all we can say is, well, it could have been done better, but it's done now. So,
well, and another part of not just this book, but others in many, many articles is, how he deals with his workforce. Clearly, he's a bit of a slave driver. He expects the level of commitment that he's got from his people. And I was thinking about it, I thought, what does this make me think? And I feel like he uses his workers as antibodies against the establishment of traditional American manufacturing. And I think he kind of views most humans as inconvenient, messy cargo for settling Mars. And by the way, the whole settling Mars thing, which I guess is still part of his portfolio. Again, I haven't read the book, but it's a really bad place to live. And I brought that up.
It's nonsense.
It's short-term nonsense for sure.
Well, it's funny because it's long-termism.
About this.
The philosophical tenet of it is long-termism, which is don't worry about today. Let's look to the generations of the future. And Elon wants us to be a spacefaring species. But, first of all, that's his unilateral decision. Second, if you talk to anybody who knows what they're talking about, Mars is not a place to raise a kid. I think Elton said it best, right?
Well, and you can do an awful lot of living in low Earth orbit.
There's
and
lots of other things we could do better.
And the moon, if you want to do that. But I asked Gwynne Shotwell this question during an interview a few years back, and I said, what happens when you get the people there? And her answer, and I'm paraphrasing, is that basically, look, we're the trucks, and it's up to other people to build the towns. They're the railroad, and I get that, but that's kind of a disconnect from what he's saying about settling Mars. And as you point out, Mars is a really horrible place. You're going to be living probably in a cave or under at least 10 feet of dirt in a metal can, and you're not going outside without a spacesuit. And if you are, you're doing it for a very short period of time because the radiation's deadly. So there's a lot of work to do on that one for sure.
I'd sure like to see him and everybody work on saving this planet than some vain hope that we can move to another planet.
Well, that's what Tesla's for.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Micah.
Planet Space Force.
Actually, I wanted to ask you about aliens, but
Well, I was going to say we have some other stuff to discuss.
yeah, I want to ask you. So the
NASA report.
yeah, they've put up a website, which is great. There's a lot of transparency now, but NASA has once again said it ain't aliens, right?
Yes. So if you watch the press conference and Bill Nelson, he's older, he's definitely old school, but we haven't had, up until Jim Bridenstine, the previous administrator, we hadn't had a politician in charge of NASA for decades. And in my opinion, it should always be a politician because they know how to play that game and former astronauts don't. So Nelson got some goofball questions from people of questionable credentials towards the last half of the press conference. And he handled them pretty masterfully, and that was one of them. He said, we have no evidence to indicate that these are of extraterrestrial origin yet. But they're also careful to say, look, this was a study on how to better study these things. This is our NASA's take on how to look at the non-classified data and, through this website primarily, try to sort of decriminalize or destigmatize, if you will, people being able to report, like pilots who are very concerned about their careers prospects if they report UFOs or UAPs. And this is a way of better studying it and gathering data so they do know. So I think it was about as well handled as that kind of thing could be. And it was a really small contained study. Let's remember the budget for this thing was about $100,000. Right. So it wasn't a big ticket item. And I was very impressed with the way they pulled it off.
Nelson said, we don't know what they are, but there's no evidence they're from out there.
Yeah, and the more we learn about what the Chinese and perhaps the Russians can do with spoofing and so forth, it seems like we've talked about this before. It seems like there's a good chance a lot of this could be deliberate radio pinging from them to try and see what our carrier battle groups do. Because isn't it interesting that the aliens, you talked about this last week on one of the shows, they cross 100 light years of space and then slam into Earth. Oops, we lost control at the last minute. And it's always near an aircraft carrier. What's that about?
So I think the fundamental takeaway to me from this report was none of these sightings have much instrumentation, and if we had more,
excuse me, but in an era where everybody's got one of these things,
right?
Where's the evidence? That's what we're waiting for.
UFOs are mysterious and will stay that way until we have better data. And that's the issue. I mean, it's silly to me, and I hope we're not spending too much. I'm glad to hear it was only 100,000.
Well, let's try something else.
I want to say I'm glad that Mexico knows how to handle UFOs, because that's
by turning them to stone. Right?
I can't
Did
believe
those things
that.
not look like sand sculptures at the beach?
Yeah.
Right.
On Sand
They
Sculpture
said,
Day?
though, they did scans of them and they had guts, but I don't believe it for a minute.
Well, they said there was DNA. That's what I saw, which, depending on how you handle those things when you find them, DNA can come from a lot of sources, right?
Yeah.
I coughed on it.
Don't get your hopes up, kids.
September 24th.
Yes?
OSIRIS-REx, the sample containment capsule, comes hurtling down to Utah. We had an engineer from that project on This Week in Space on Friday. Very exciting to talk to her. And this will be...
Wait a minute, they're exploring Utah?
No. This is a sample from the asteroid Bennu.
Oh, it's coming back to Utah.
Coming back to Utah,
Oh, okay.
right. Because that's,
I think we know there are no aliens in Utah. I think we knew that. Go ahead.
If you're going to drop something at 25,000 miles per hour, you might as well plop it into Utah, right?
Yeah.
That's what I do.
So that comes back. And, this is a carbonaceous
exciting.
chondrite asteroid.
Yeah.
So this is a remnant of the primordial solar system, which is very, very cool. And they did find, when they got there a few years back, they found hydrated minerals, which is evidence of water in the past, which is exciting. We knew that, but the coolest thing for me is once they get the sample back to this lab they've constructed at Johnson Space Center, now you're able to see the pure sample from the asteroid, compare that to meteorites we've been looking at for hundreds of years, and see, okay, how much does it change coming to the Earth? And if it doesn't change too much, besides going through the sample of Bennu, which is very small, it's just a couple ounces, we think. We're not quite sure how much they picked up. This could open the door to a whole reevaluation of how we look at meteorites, and then that's a conversation about the early solar system, how Earth formed, and very possibly how life came about. If there's organic chemistry in this sample, then that's something pretty exciting to look at.
So this is from Bennu. And by the way, I think that I was surprised that Elon did not spend more time trying to figure out how to mine asteroids. If you really want to make some money, that seems like the play. But he wants to go. He read too much science.
2 or 3 other companies tried and they didn't last long.
Yeah,
it's hard, and there's an awful lot of good stuff on the moon to get to before asteroids. It's a lot easier to reach. I mean, talk to Dan Suarez about that. He's studied this to death.
It's pretty exciting what they're getting on the moon, and the Indian explorer has done very well. That's more, to me, that is much more exciting. That is our nearest planetary, and you could really object.
You find water up there, and there's metal in the soil and all kinds of other stuff. There's a lot you can do there without having to trundle out to asteroids. I mean, eventually we will, but it's a big pull. One of the things exciting about OSIRIS-REx, though, is as soon as it drops off the sample container, so it's heading towards Earth, sample container separates and hurtles straight in. And by the way, this is not one of those orbit and then come down at your leisure deals. This is, okay, we got to shoot it just right.
Oh, wow.
It's
interesting.
Not guided gliding or anything. It's got to go right to where it's going to end up. And that just, it's another feather in the cap of NASA.
We'll be able to watch this live, by the way, on NASA TV, which is exciting.
Or space.com.
Or space.com, yeah.
Because they carry all that stuff.
Yeah.
As soon as that separates, the main spacecraft is going to be diverted and will be repurposed to go look at another asteroid called Apophis, which is famous because we thought it was going to come hurtling and smash into Earth a few years back. Turns out it's not. We're worried about it hitting us in 2029. That's been dismissed for now. But it's being repurposed for a whole new mission. And this wasn't originally in the mission plan. This is one of those things that NASA and JPL do very well, which is redesigning missions on the fly, if you will, because they can and because they've got very robust equipment and good people. And so it's being repurposed to go look at this other asteroid. So I think that's incredibly exciting.
September 24th.
In a sky near you. Now, just remember,
yes,
if you see that thing coming at you and it's just getting bigger and bigger and not going sideways,
duck.
Run fast. Yeah.
I don't, Run till it's not getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
One more thing that I'm not sure we'll have time to talk about before it happens. On October 14th, there is an annular solar eclipse, which will be crossing a section of the western United States. So annular is when the moon's a little too far away, so you still see a ring of the sun around the shadow of the moon. So it's not like a total eclipse. You can't ever look at it with the naked eye. But if you have good eclipse glasses, be sure to buy them from a reputable dealer like Celestron or something. Don't just go on Amazon and find them. And I sent you guys a link to put in the show notes. Because if you buy bad eclipse glasses, you can end up with cataracts at the age of 45 or 50,
Yikes.
like I did from doing that very thing.
Really?
So this will,
Holy moly.
You did that?
Yeah.
Wow. So that's
as a kid,
good
I had a little
cautionary
telescope
Oh.
with a little screw-in welding glass filter.
Yikes.
And I never paid attention to the instruction book, which says don't use this for more than a minute at a time, and spent hours staring at the sun. Oops.
How long
My
do
right eye.
annular
Did it
eclipses last? Oh, well, go ahead. Answer Mikah's.
Sorry, did you feel pain to know that this was happening?
It was just like my Mac battery. One morning I woke up and I suddenly realized I could barely see out of my right eye
So you can
anymore.
start using that instead of bankruptcy. It's like cataracts from the solar eclipse.
Yeah.
It happens all slowly.
I
all
go
at
into the
once.
eye doctor, and he looks and he looks and he doesn't say anything, and then he calls his staff and he said, "Hey, you guys come in here." And like I'm not there, they have this whole thing. Oh, look at these! Wow, these are really bad for a guy his age. Yeah, we're gonna have blah 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 blah. And I was like, I'm right here. So that was a good object lesson. But if you're in parts of Oregon, it'll enter over Oregon, cross through Nevada, go right through central Utah and central New Mexico, then blast through Texas and hit parts of Central and South America. if you've got eclipse glasses or a way to look at it safely, do, because I've seen one and it's pretty amazing because you just see this disk of the sun with this much of it occluded out. So it's just this ring of fire. And then, of course, in April of next year, 24, we have the total solar eclipse, which
that's going to be exciting.
I hope I can get to go see. Yeah. It's probably in Texas would be the best place to see that.
So the best way to keep up on all of this is the weekly show called This Week in Space, which Rod hosts with Tarek Malik of space.com.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, or subscribe. The National Space Society has a wonderful magazine called Ad Astra, and of course, Rod is the editor-in-chief of that, and you can get that.
I am.
Does it come out every other month? How often does it come out?
It's quarterly.
Quarterly, okay, every third.
I'd like it to be 6 times a year, but budgets and magazines, and it's still print. It's a really deluxe.
It's a beautiful job they do. Yeah, it's really nice.
And it's hard to stay in that market. And what's interesting is our sales are actually going up pretty quickly in retail. We send it to all members, of course, as part of their membership. But magazines are not a pretty scene in retail right now. But there's so few left in the space area that we're doing quite well.
Good.
So I'm
glad about that. And you're working on a book right now, yes?
I am. We don't have a firm contract yet, but after going to a lot of publishers that went, and 2019 was a good year for me. I made at least one publisher about $1.5 million.
What?
I didn't. Yeah, but you go back.
Was that the Apollo 11 book?
Yeah, it sold like crazy.
Such a great book. I loved that. Yeah.
And you go back a few years later and they go, well, we're not really sure and all that. But there's an academic publisher I'm talking to, so It looks very favorable. So as soon as I have details, I'll bore you all with them.
Good. This Week in Space. twit.tv/twists. Rod, thank you so much. Yes,
and thanks to you and Lisa and Ant and the whole team for helping us put that show on, because it wouldn't be anything without you.
I know.
guys.
Ant does a great job producing it. And happy birthday. You going to do anything fun for your birthday?
This is kind of it. This was my fun thing, was seeing you guys.
I know how you feel. Once you get to a certain age, there's nothing to
Don't
celebrate.
sigh, Mikah. You're not old enough to know yet. This is exciting. It's just a long, icy road to 70 now, right?
So yeah, exactly.
Okay.
How did you get old? Gradually, then suddenly.
Then all at once.
Yeah.
Just like Mac batteries.
I have to give credit to Ernest Hemingway. That's from The Sun Also Rises.
Oh.
How did you go bankrupt? 2 ways. Gradually, then suddenly. Hey, thank you so much. It's great to see you.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.
Thanks, Mott.
Rod Pyle, our space guru. Thank you, Rod. Now, we're going to take another break, and then we're going to get back to the calls. And we're going to do calls. We're going to do
calls
a lot
on
of calls.
calls
we're going
on
to do calls like never before. The best calls. Only the best calls coming up.
Which is all of them.
Micah's too young to sigh yet. You're too young to sigh.
Too young to sigh.
All right. This is a dealer's choice, John Ashley.
Ooh, let's take a phone call. I think I see. I'm gonna pick up this caller right here.
Pick up that caller right now, and then we'll do a voicemail, and then we'll do an email, and then we'll do a Zoom, and then we can rotate through them all.
Yeah. I'm ready.
Hello, caller.
Welcome, caller.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dr. Mom has to go.
Bye.
Next time, Dr. Mom. I'm sorry. She sat there for a long time, and now she's mad at us.
Hello.
Hello. What's your name, and where are you calling from?
I've actually called before on this very show after you guys went off the radio. It's Davude from Chicago.
Hi, dude from Chicago. Welcome.
Davude, D-A-V-O-O-D.
The dude, Vavood.
Davude.
Okay, Davude. All right, welcome.
I originally dialed in reaction to what you were saying, Leo, about spending time with your parents.
Before the show, I
And
talked
then
a little
when
bit
you
about
went
why
into Sunday
I was
service-
gone. I don't think people who are only watching the show know this, but I was back east to put my mother in assisted living, and so we were talking a little bit about that beforehand. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was pre-show, and I was about to say that. But then when you started the show, did the Sunday sermon, I wanted to ask something in relation to that and comment on that.
This show just stimulates questions.
Micah, well, I want to say to Micah real quick, what Leo was saying pre-show, very true. I unfortunately lost both my parents between 2010 and 2020.
I'm sorry.
And my grandmother, my mom's mom, 1 year before that.
I'm sorry.
All three between 2009 and 2020.
Gotta enjoy
And
them while
my
they're
grandmother was
here.
in assisted living.
Yeah.
So,
My,
it is what it is. We're all going to die one day, but Micah, take that advice to heart. Get as much time as you can with your mom and your dad if he's still around.
Yeah. And his
Just from someone
grandparents,
who's been
he's got
through
a great family, and his nieces and his sisters, and you got a great family. And he knows it, though. I have to say, you love your family.
I do.
I know that. And the problem is he doesn't like to fly, and his family's back in Missouri. So we're gonna have to drive.
I don't
back.
like to fly either.
I don't like to spend $1 bajillion to go to Missouri.
The problem is he's a cheapskate. I take it back.
That's what it is. I'm a cheapskate.
Anyway,
I get that. For me, it's the reverse. I have to spend $1 bajillion to come to California and visit my sister.
Yeah.
So,
but once they're gone,
it
it
is
doesn't
what it
matter
is.
how
But
much you
anyway.
spend. You aren't going to go see them. So, the best memory of this all was holding my mom's hand. We'd got her all set up. She's very happy in the new place, and just holding her hand for a while and telling her how much I loved her. And that was a very nice experience. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back every month for a while just to make sure she's settling in and everything. So. Yeah, I remember Johnny Jett used to go back and see his dad all the time. I thought, well, you're a good boy. Now I understand why.
You get it now. Yep.
And Johnny's dad has passed, and so I'm sure he's very glad that he spent the time he did with his father. Devu, did you have any other questions?
So, on your Sunday sermon, I wanted to comment, and then I wanted to ask a question as well. The comment is, I actually wrote a research paper in 8th grade about the Microsoft lawsuit. 8th grade for me was 0203.
Yeah, so the lawsuit was 98.
So it was after.
Yeah.
Right. So there was a bunch of books on it, academic level books, and not. I was able to write a good research paper. Actually, my 8th grade teacher who graded that paper literally was not expecting to be able to give me an A+. And because they weren't expecting to, they gave me an A++ because of the level at which I wrote the paper and understood the case.
What conclusions did you come to?
Well, I've been tracking the Google, Apple, Facebook stuff very closely, and the conclusion I am coming to is the governments of the world, and I'm saying it that way because of the EU as well, are handling it better now because of Microsoft back in the 90s. And that leads me to my question, and it's more of a rhetorical question, but I do want your opinions on the actual answer. With the USB-C change, and yes, I'm referring to the iPhone and all of the Apple products at this point. I'm an Apple user, have been since 2009, 2008 maybe even. I love Apple products. I've had no problem with the change from the 30-pin connector to the Lightning connector 10 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever it was. What is it, though, about regular users and some technology-minded users as well not understanding that Apple actually helped invent USB-C, and that's why they didn't wait another year, since they're out of that 10-year window where they guaranteed they wouldn't change chargers for 10 years.
That's a really good point, is that Apple has been involved in all of the connection technologies that we value. FireWire, they were the first company to put USB in a computer with the original iMacs. They developed Thunderbolt with Intel, FireWire with Intel, and they've been very involved in USB-C. So they very much engaged in these standards bodies.
What is it about the average user? It's that they don't care.
They don't care.
They don't know any of this, and they're not interested in.
It doesn't make it better that Apple invented it.
The thought of them even having the wherewithal to know about how a cable is invented is, I think, just
I'm more
the wrong
concerned
focus.
about the average tech user. I have
Well,
a
Apple's,
friend who
and
sent
I
me
think
a
you're
movie.
right. They should realize that Apple's been using USB-C in their laptops and even their iPads for some time. This is not new. They created Lightning back in the day because there was no. Remember, that was back when we had micro USB, those weird connectors you had to put in the right way, and it was just terrible. So
Which they helped with as well.
Well, of course, but the point is they created something that they thought was superior to the 30-pin connector and the standard at the time, micro USB. And so they did create something that was better, was faster. You couldn't put it in wrong. There were a lot of pros for Lightning, and I don't know if this was a consideration because they owned it. They made a lot of money.
Yes.
On Lightning accessories.
I think that certainly is part of it. I wonder if internally there was a goal. If we can get services revenue to this place, then we can stop being so reliant on the MFI accessory money that we're making. That played a role.
That's a good point, too, that I didn't take into consideration.
Yeah, and then I think that there's also some level of, if you spend 20 minutes talking about how you are an environmentally friendly company.
Oh, boy, that was a bomb, wasn't
and then
it?
you change ports and maybe cause people to go, well, what do I do with all of these these lightning cables? I'm throwing them in the landfill. I think there's a lot of consideration that goes into it that Apple has to think about, frankly, and what it means. And, as part of this is probably a little bit of ripping off the bandage. But I also, what I found interesting, Leo, at this last keynote was before they ever mentioned USB-C, they talked about all of the wireless capabilities of the phone. And we've heard for a long time that Apple is considering a portless phone in the future. And I think this is a continued hint at that they USB-C was almost an afterthought when it came to the phone, because look at what you can do with it wirelessly without even needing to have a port. And so I do wonder if they would have even made that transition to USB-C at all if there wasn't the EU part of it.
A lot of people said that. Remember, they had another year. They could have done it next year. EU was going to give them till the end of 2024. And there's been a lot of speculation about this idea of a portless iPhone. By the way, that's all speculation.
Yes.
Based on kind of clues like the fact that they're promoting MagSafe. I'm not convinced that they want to go completely portless. The advantage would be that it's waterproof. It's like a sealed case. But there are massive disadvantages in terms of data transfer, convenience. Wireless charging is very inefficient. So if you want to be environmentally friendly, you shouldn't be wireless charging. So I'm not convinced that Apple does want to go portless. We've had this debate on MacBreak Weekly. Jason Snell thinks that was a phony supposition.
Interesting.
So I just don't know. We'll see if they do that in a couple of years. I think this might be the port they stick with for 5-7 more years until the next big thing comes along. I don't know. It's unknown.
Yeah.
It's unknown. I think I would be disappointed with a portless phone.
Me too.
Apple understands that that's a big risk.
Yep.
That might be the move that it takes to get people to go to Android. Apple, talk about a monopoly. Wow. I mean, it's Android or Apple, isn't it? That's pretty much it. Hey, thanks for the call, TWiT. It's always good to talk to you. Why don't I do an email? Let me just reach back.
Reach back.
Oh, God.
Rotate that cuff.
Oh, it's so painful. That's it. My career in the NFL is over. Question, upgrading my iPhone 8. Should I go with a 14 or a 15? Very timely. This comes from Jim in Granite Bay, previously known as Jim from Walnut Creek.
Congratulations on the move.
Yeah. I've been waiting for the iPhone announcement. Should I go all the way to the iPhone 15? Now, he's got a really old one, the iPhone 8. He does need to upgrade because Apple's no longer going to give you security updates, certainly no more iOS updates on iPhone 8. Or would settling for a 14 or even a 13 be a better value? A few $100s one way or another is not going to make or break the budget. I want to get the best value for my money. I do take photos with my phone. That's important. But when I'm trying, usually in vain, to get great photos, I end up putting out my DSLR and its interchangeable lenses. That's interesting. Side note, 50 years ago, I got a master's in computer science. They had computers then? Wow. Spent an entire career designing and building enterprise-level applications, but nearly everything I know about personal technology I've learned by listening to the Tech Guys. Thank you, Jim. We love Jim. He's a nice guy. I know him from his calls. That's a good question.
This is a question that specifically my mom, same exact thing. iPhone 8, do I go to the 14 or do I go to the 15? It's going to be different for everybody, right? It's a matter of what you want to pay. Here is my basic suggestion. If you can afford it and it doesn't even cause like a little bit of hair to stand up on the back of your neck, absolutely go for the 15. The big reason for me is not even all of the great stuff that the 15 can do over the 14, because there's not that much, but it's the fact that the battery is manufactured newer. So that for me ends up being the big...
It's not the same battery tech?
It's same battery tech.
Oh, I see. But it's
one's been going to be sitting in a warehouse for a lot longer.
So just sitting in a warehouse can wear out a battery.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, by the time you get it, it's going to be an older battery, and that is going to result in not as long of a life. Plus, there have been a lot of complaints. I have not had this, but anecdotally, I have seen at least 8 different people talking about, and then 9 to 5 Mac, I think, is even recorded a lot more than that, of people talking about the battery life on their iPhone 14 dropping in efficiency. So I think that if you can afford it and it doesn't raise your hackles at all, go for the 15, because just in the long run, it's going to last you longer. You are clearly a person who can hold onto your phone for a long time. And so getting that latest, greatest means that, the warranties there, the battery is newer, all of that. Plus, if there ends up being kind of anything in this new phone that's wrong, Apple's really good about, within the first month or so, they just pretty much replace them. They fix them. They do whatever needs to be done, because they're trying to collect and see what might be going wrong in the manufacturing process, et cetera, et cetera. If it does raise your hackles even a bit, you're going to be happy going from the iPhone 8 to the iPhone 14.
Huge jump.
It's going to be a huge jump for you. It again, the fact is that it's a little bit older, but you get a better deal on it. So yeah, there are all of those indications as well that if you're looking for a deal, go for the 14. If you're looking for, or if you can afford to and it doesn't bother you, go for the 15.
I think there is one thing that might push you towards the 15, and that is the Type-C connector.
That's true.
Because this is the end of the line for the Lightning connector. So you buy an older iPhone, you're buying a phone that's going to use instantly an out-of-date connector. Apple's going to change everything to Type-C, and eventually you'll be harder and harder. I mean, go try to find a 30-pin cable.
Right.
It'll be harder
You can
and
only
harder
find them
to
in
find.
hotels or motels.
I think you're going to... I hate to spend... Look, it's like buying a new car. You're spending the top dollar to get the latest phone. It will be cheaper next year. It'll be cheaper the year after.
Yeah, it's always the case.
It's always the case. So I hate to give them that money. If it weren't for the Type-C connector and the points you've made, I didn't even think about the age of the battery, but that's an excellent point. I would say get a 14 or even a 13, because they're really very, very close. We're now at the point in phones where there's just little improvements each year. So it's almost always a better idea from a pure economic point of view to get the last year phone or even 2-year-old phone. It's that Type-C thing that I think I really worry about a little bit. And I think it probably is worth it. This might be the jump to make. And then you can reasonably say, okay, I'm going to wait another 7 years before I get a new phone.
Absolutely. Yeah. And good on you for holding on to your phone for that long.
By the way, you were right. It's interesting what you said. And this comes from
yep, I recognize the site.
leancrew.com.
Dr. Drang.
Dr. Drang,
on
who
most
is
social media.
The expert, by the way, that the new iPhones are lighter. The weight reduction is 9 to 10%. That's not huge.
Right.
Almost on the edge of what you could perceive. He points out that Jason Snell thought it seemed distinctly lighter. He says it's not the weight of it or the mass of it. It's the rotation.
This is wild.
It's the rotational momentum of the device. It's 15% lower rotational inertia, and that's because the titanium edge is lower mass. So the overall weight is only 9 to 10%. But when you go like this, it doesn't pull you as much.
Got it. Because
of the rotational.
Okay.
So that is a wild, weird thing. But Drang is smart. People are more sensitive, he says. That's one explanation. 9 to 10%. People might be able to notice it. But he thinks it really is about a change in how you manipulate the phone. It's not just the mass, the weight of the phone. It's the moment of inertia.
Oh, because that's almost, think about like a gyroscope.
Yes.
If I, do this with the phone,
yes,
and it's got the steel edge on it versus, that titanium edge, it's not going to pull me to one side of the, look at all this.
So Drang brings the math to calculate the rotational inertia. And he says the moment of inertia is about 15% less. And that you would notice. It's a bigger reduction than the actual mass of the phone. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. All right, we're going to take another call in just a moment. You're watching Ask the Tech Guys. Do we have a voicemail, John?
We have voicemails, but we have a lot of callers. I think maybe we should
do callers. You tell me.
Yeah, let's do let's do
Cameron.
All right, we're going to go to Cameron, our next caller on the Zoom. Hello, Cameron. Join us in the Stargate. Isn't that weird? The rotational inertia is what... Hey, Cameron. Hello, Cameron. Where are you calling from?
I have multiple questions ranging in difficulty
I knew it.
How did you know that?
So,
I just had a feeling.
The first one is very simple. Is there any good stock ticker like apps for Windows? My father's been kind of needling me, and I have no idea.
So it's interesting because Microsoft has now, with this new gadgets in the lower left of the Windows screen, does have stock prices. But it sounds like he wants like the old school
updating
that it goes across the bottom of the screen.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of like the news.
Yeah.
Where you have all the
I am not familiar of one. But I think there are quite a few.
I remove them as soon as I get a new device.
So there is a desktop widget that is part of Microsoft Windows, but I think it only shows, at least on mine, it shows. Does it do a ticker? I don't know if it does a ticker. It does.
Well, it does have like a watch list.
It's a watch list, and it puts graphs
Scooter X, says he just has a tab of Yahoo Finance open on the browser.
But I think my father specifically wants something that'll just say.
I know what he wants. I actually love what he wants. Not just a widget that shows a price and then rotates or anything like that. He wants a toolbar, in effect. And
kind of like
this is the one that looks the most to me like what he wants. It's called the Finance Toolbar. See that? It's a ticker. It's even got little dots.
Oh, it's got all of the language on there.
Access real-time stock information and investment updates to stay on top of the market. It is for Mac and Windows.
Woo.
So I should. Go ahead.
So it looks like that's from the Microsoft store.
It's in the store, yes. So he can get it in the store. It's not from the Microsoft store, but it's from Stefan VD. He's the guy who wrote it. It is a finance toolbar, a Windows app. So it's an app that'll give you real-time stock information and tick across the screen. Let me see if I want to see the ticker, because that's there it is. It's a stock ticker bar that'll go across the screen.
Oh, but it's not free, so I have to
it's $5.
But hey,
give your dad a fin and
$5 in stocks, and then you can buy it.
Okay, now here's a review that says, "Rip off. I bought it. It was working fine. It stopped working. I contacted the company, and they want more money to help me." Huh. I don't know if that sounds like let's find another one, because the reviews aren't great on this. A lot of 1-star reviews now. So let's not.
What I like about that, though, is that it does have.
That's what you want.
feedback.
Yeah, I understand. I understand what Dad wants. Dad's old school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it good.
Here is something from the AAII, the American Association of Individual Investors. It's a desktop ticker. This might be, and this one,
Seems
because
official.
it's from, an organization. In contrast to Cool Stock Ticker, where you have to click on a stock to take you to another page with news and details, this is going to display actual news headlines. But I want to see a picture of it before I recommend. This is also pretty old, so maybe this isn't. Yeah, this may be too old. One of the, if it's real time, that you have to pay for real time updates. Otherwise, they're delayed by 15 minutes. Yeah. That may be why that widget, the desktop ticker widget, costs $5 is to pay for the real-time quotes. Mm-hmm. I see a lot of widgets I don't actually know. And obviously, Mikah's too poor to have investments.
True.
So teasing you. Here's another one from our Discord. This might be good. No, that's the one. That's the same one. Stefan VD, the finance toolbar. I don't know. We'll have to keep looking. I'll tell you what. Ask the next harder question. But actually, I have an easy question for you first. You didn't tell us what city you're calling from.
Monterey.
Monterey. Love beautiful Monterey. Home of the best aquarium in the world. Okay, so, next question.
Now, the rest of my questions involve my Linux box I just recently acquired.
Oh, congratulations.
So, Debian 10 Buster, I believe is the code name for it. But I want KDE Neon on it, so I have to burn the USB. On my Chromebook I'm talking to you on right now, it won't do it.
So first of all, don't worry. You don't have to you don't have to get a new distribution to have KDE. Once you have 10 on there, then you can install a new desktop environment. What do you have right now? Is it GNOME or what is?
Yeah, I have GNOME. Yeah. But
it's a little tricky installing a desktop environment. It's not as simple as installing a simple application. But if you look up installing KDE Plasma on Debian, there will be instructions for how you do it. There's a couple of commands you have to do, and when you do that, it just replaces it. And in fact, what it really does, which is great, when you're at the login screen, there'll be a drop-down that lets you choose your desktop environment. So it's possible to have multiple desktop environments installed, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, so the reason why I want KDE Neon is because like Ubuntu and other distributions don't really have all the up-to-date K project. And so, yeah, I am aware of that. I've been doing Linux for, 3-4 years?
Okay, you understand how to change the DE.
Yeah, I do know that. Like I use...
Are you trying to use Wayland, or is that the issue?
Yeah, well, not necessarily. So the issue is, in order to burn the USB, right? Because honestly, I'm not a big fan of Debian. I'd rather at least do Ubuntu.
Well, do Ubuntu then. Doesn't Ubuntu have a KDE Plasma? No?
Yeah. So
you know what? I'll tell you my favorite that does have KDE Plasma is Manjaro.
Right. So... But
That's
in
what I
order
would
to
try.
switch, I need a disk drive, right?
No, you need a USB. You do not need a disk drive. You need a USB key.
You know what I mean. So
okay, that's what you mean.
The problem is, DD didn't do it for me when I tried booting into.
You're trying to. Okay, yeah.
When I tried booting into it, it wouldn't read.
Right.
Now I know I love Valera Etcher is the one I typically use for, but I can't get that because I have no internet. Now, when I look, it does not have the proper firmware.
Don't just chill, just calm. So a lot of people use Balena or various GUI applications to burn a Linux distribution to a USB key.
Right.
But you can easily do it with DD. I always use DD, which you have because it's command line and comes with Linux. Yeah. So the trick is just to, in fact, the easiest thing to do, go into your terminal, type man space DD. But I'll tell you the command I use. So I download the ISO that I want. Okay. I then type DD. That's the I think it's disk duplicate disk. I can't remember what it is. It's a way to copy a disk in effect. You can use it for backup too. DD space. I usually tell it what block size to use. So that's BS equals, and I say 4 lowercase m, 4 megabytes. So that's 4 megabyte block sizes. That just makes it a little faster. You can leave that out. Then you're going to have to tell it what the in file is. That's going to be in your downloads folder. So IF equals, and then the link, the path to, I usually just type downloads /tab and then see which one of them is the ISO they just downloaded, space, and then the out file, OF equals. So it's IF equals and OF equals. Those are the key. Now, careful with OF because you're going to actually, DD is a dangerous app because it will blast those bits to wherever you say. And if it's your main drive, it'll erase your main drive without asking, So before you even do this, there's a command you should execute to figure out where that you put the USB key in, and then type LSBLK. That's going to list all the block devices, and you're going to look for the appropriate block name for your USB key. It'll be probably something like /dev/SBA or SBB. You'll see there'll be a list of all the devices. That's why you put the disk in first. Then once it mounts, you list the devices. You'll see a 2 gigabyte or a 4 gigabyte or an 8 gigabyte USB key. Do not copy it to SBA if that's your main drive, right? So that's the only trick in using DD, is to really be sure you're DDing to the right output. So just to recap, DD space BS equals 4 lowercase m, 4 megabyte, space in file IF equals, and then the path to your ISO, space OF equals the path you've just figured out from LS block, usually /D/SBAD or something, some SBD or something like that. And then hit return. It's going to come back fast. Don't, if you really want to get fancy, you can then say & sync. You could say, don't stop the execution until you're done. But what'll happen because of the way Linux is set up, it'll execute and then come back to you immediately. You'll get the command line immediately. You might go, oh, good, that was fast, and pull out the thumb drive. It's not done. Leave it. Let it sit. Go have breakfast. Let it sit because it's still writing to the drive. Once it's done writing to the drive, that's why I use sync. Once it's done writing to the drive, then you can take the USB drive out, and now it's got the image on it. That was a long answer.
I did do that. However, when I try to boot into it from my system, it won't read. Now, another issue is even if that were to work, I still would not have Windows because it has a Intel device, Intel internet Wi-Fi. Because I only have Wi-Fi here. It would be too.
That's why you don't have internet. Yeah. So this is where people go. I'm never using Linux. You have to get the drivers for the Intel Wi-Fi, and all of this is online though. This is where you're not online. Do you have any? You have a Chromebook. Wait a minute. What am I saying?
Yeah.
So you're online with this. So go do some searching. Don't dismiss the Arch Wiki, even though you're not using Arch, because it's a great resource for all of this stuff.
I've used it before.
Yeah. So search the Arch Wiki for DD. There's a lot of little hitches in the get along. For instance, if you have a UEFI machine, you have to download the right UEFI and so forth. I'm going to suggest you go look at the Manjaro website. They have the Plasma desktop right there on the left. They support Plasma, XFCE, and GNOME as the defaults, but there's communities for a lot of other desktops. This is an Arch-based distro, but it has a really good installer that will recognize your Intel Wi-Fi, that'll install the right drivers, do the non-free drivers, and this should be very easy. Again, you can download the ISO file and use DD to burn that to a USB key. If you do it properly, if you don't use Boolean Etcher, Etcher makes it very easy, but Etcher probably is just a front end to DD, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, honestly, it probably is. And
Yes.
Because it's a class platform. But so I did try to use like an online guard to put them in there, but it's still not recognizing it. And
If I could just come over to your house,
Right.
I could probably show you what's going on. There's some little thing. It's easy for these things to, but this is why you use Linux, because you're going to learn and there's always little hitches in this. There's always little hitches. And once you kind of learn it, then your brain gets bigger. So this is all about making your brain bigger. And I think you'll be able to figure it out. I really do. DD works just fine. I use DD always to burn my USB keys. I have Etcher. I don't even use it.
Yeah, but it worked fine for me because I'm not at the point in my Linux learning where I am comfortable really using something like DD.
This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen, though. We're going to get you to that command line. You're going to be a command line sensei. And then, and really, honestly, you kind of have to. And this is why people don't like Linux. The good news is you have total control. You know, they don't get to say you should be using Edge. Why aren't you using Ping? You don't get any of that. And if you want a stock ticker, you write it in Python, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Straight from the source.
I bet I could honestly find one in like GitHub too, and then.
I mean, I'm sure there's such a thing, but Windows is the problem. All right, we got to wrap it up. We're almost out of time, and I want to make sure we get everybody in. It's great to talk to you. I hope you will call again. Okay.
I will for sure.
Give us the hard question next.
Thanks.
If that wasn't the hard question, I don't know what to do now. I'm sorry to bother everybody with all of that stuff, but
oh no, they're loving it.
I love the command. You know, you get me starting talking about Linux, you're never going to stop. What should we do next? We should take a break is what we should do, and then come back with more of your calls.
Even more calls.
888-724-2884. 888-724-2884. We do have a little more time to get some calls in, I think. Mm-hmm. I'm always get confused by those clocks.
I know which one's the time and which one's the time.
Yeah. I can see this clock. We have a little more time. We'll be right back. All right. Actually, by the way, I should have told Cameron, we have a Linux show. If you join Club TWiT.
Untitled Linux Show.
Yeah. You could. I can't read that from here, John. He's pointing to the label, which is like 10-point type.
It says, "This is your fare."
This is my fare. Good. All right. So that's the cab. That's the cab meter on top. What was I saying? Oh, we have a Linux show, the Untitled Linux Show, and it's open to calls. That's a perfect call for the Untitled Linux Show. Jonathan Bennett is great. His team is great. But there is a catch. You have to be a member of Club TWiT. If you're not a member yet, that's so important. It helps us so much.
It's only $2 more than a stock ticker.
Yes, exactly. A month. $7 a month, but you get ad-free versions of all the shows. You get a great Discord community where you can chat with like-minded geeks. You also get TWiT Plus, which is a feed of stuff that doesn't happen in the shows. Happens before and after the shows.
And a huge back catalog of stuff in that feed.
Yeah. So $7 a month, $84 a year. There's family plans. There's corporate plans. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit. And Ant Pruitt is our community manager there. He's putting together so many great things. Lou Maresca coming up at the end of the month with a special Ask Me Anything. If you're a sci-fi fan, you will want to talk to John Scalzi on October 5th. That's amazing. Our lead AI guy, Anthony Magician Nielsen, will talk about how he uses AI to do so many of the things, including the design of the Club TWiT logo, which is really cool. Stacy's Book Club is in November. Fireside Chat with Renee Ritchie. He's back. I'm going to participate in the Old Farts Fireside Chat with Doc Searles and Jeff Jarvis. Just some of the events coming up in the next few months. twit.tv/clubtwit. It's what's keeping us on the air at this point. We're hanging by a thread.
If you look very closely, you can see the thread.
Thanks to the Club TWiT members, we're still here. That's what I call a bargain. Who should I say?
Real quick, just to let people know that no Chris Marquardt today.
Oh, if you were tuning in for our photo guy, he's not here. But I can tell you that gives you more time for the assignment, right? Mm-hmm. Which is...
Adorable.
I'm going to submit a picture of my mom.
Oh, that would be cute.
She was pretty adorable. Adorable. Oh, I am definitely submitting that.
Good idea.
So here's how it works. Take a picture. It's got to be a current new picture, right? If you like it, you say that epitomizes, that is adorable right there. Then upload it to flickr.com, tag it TG Adorable, and submit it to the Tech Guy group. Renee Silverman, our moderator, will welcome you in. You can submit up to 1 picture a week, but you've got a reprieve now. So I can be in on this. I'm going to send it to Adorable. And he'll have to pick it, right?
It's
he
very
can't not pick
adorable.
it. It's adorable. So when you see that picture where you say, Chris is going to have to pick this, upload it. And so Chris is going to be a month now before he's back. Okay. So you have another month to be adorable.
I just was reminded of something in the chat, too.
Yes.
We would not have Club TWiT either if it weren't for Lisa Laporte, who did a lot of the early research to figure out what was going to be the membership program for us. And recently at the podcast movement, Lisa sat down with one of the folks that we work with at Memberful.
That's who is the back end of our operation.
Yes, Memberful. And so Lisa had a great conversation about how Memberful has worked for us at TWiT and all of the work that she did leading up to that and why Memberful has been a success. So we put out that video.
That is well
you can
worth
watch
seeing.
it on, I think Twitter or X or whatever. If you just find us on social media, TWiT on social media, you'll be able to find that video.
And you don't have to be a club member to watch that. That was a really great presentation from the podcast movement. And I'm really glad they put that out. That's fantastic. Lily's adorable. Could be a picture of Lily.
Yes.
Could be. Thank you for saving my marriage.
Tech Dino, thank you for helping me save Leo's marriage.
Because if I went home and I hadn't mentioned that, oh boy, I'd be back on the couch. Alex is on the line. Where are you calling from, Alex? Pick him up. Push the button. Do the thing. Hello, baby.
Zoom, zoom.
Zooma, zooma, zoom.
Alex probably stepped away and is...
Who should I talk to?
What about John with the hat?
John with the hat?
Oh, you can't see probably.
Oh, in Burlington.
Yeah.
Oh,
wait. I think we might have gotten Alex.
Whoever is to the spirits, speak to us. Tap the table 3 times.
Is there someone here with us?
I feel the spirits moving.
Hello, how are you?
We've got John with the hat.
Hey, John. Where are you calling from today?
With the hat. The hat that says I'm retired.
Nice. Does it have a date? Like the date you retired on that?
No, it was only about a week and a half ago. So.
Oh, congratulations.
Well, congratulations.
How has it been?
So I have a burner question.
Oh,
Just
no.
kidding. No, my question is, I have a Pixel 6a, and it won't connect or stay connected to my wireless in my house, but it'll connect to the other places. And I've called my phone supplier. I've called my internet supplier, and we can't figure out what's wrong.
So you enter what you're absolutely sure is the proper password to your Wi-Fi. Right?
Yep. Yeah, it'll connect, and then it'll just immediately disconnect.
Oh, that's interesting. So it connects. You see the bars, and it looks like it's working. It doesn't say no internet, but then it just falls off again.
I had this problem with a Pixel. And I'm trying to remember what I did to fix it. I've had this exact problem with a Pixel, exactly what you're describing, and I'm trying to remember what I ended up doing to fix it.
Sophia in our IRC is offering something. I don't know if this would work or not. She says uncheck
that helped
on your Pixel. Uncheck private IP address. That's the VPN that Google starts up on the Pixel, and it may not be interacting well with, by the way, it wouldn't be the hardware, it would be your ISP rejecting you.
Oh, someone's just posted a Reddit thread.
And Ray Thoth, who's very good at, Google Foo is nearly as good as Scooter X's, has a Reddit, Pixel 7 Wi-Fi keeps connecting and disconnecting to the home Wi-Fi. Let's see what they say.
Okay, adaptive connectivity.
That's it?
Yeah. Yes. Oh, in fact, Burke has just said, so there is a feature, that's what ended up working for me as well. There's a feature called adaptive connectivity. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head where exactly that
So
feature
that
is,
feature is weird, and it's unique to a Pixel, which is I'm going to use both LTE or 5G and Wi-Fi, and I'm going to flip back and forth depending on what's better. And if, for instance, it said, well, I don't like this Wi-Fi, but your LTE is excellent, that might exactly be what happens. Where did Brooke say it is?
It's just under internet. You may also try turning off, depending on what router you use, you may try turning off private DNS. You may try turning off, there's a feature that masks your MAC address on the phone, and I don't remember what it's called on Pixel, but that feature you might try turning off. Yeah, privacy.
In other words, Google has built in all these weird features to the Pixel phones that are not exactly standard. You won't find them on many other phones. And you might just go into those settings and turn some of them off and on until you get something that works. I think adaptive connectivity might be interesting. What happens if you turn off cellular connectivity and just try the Wi-Fi? Does that work better?
Yeah, same thing. It would do. It would just kick itself on, go on, and kick itself right back off.
What's the router you use?
I can't remember the name of it.
They come from your ISP?
It's Hitron.
Okay.
It's Hitron. Hitron.
The reason I'm asking is because another problem that some people have had is a router like Eero and many others that do this broadcast the 2.4 gigahertz and the 5 gigahertz network using the same SSID. And when that happens, the pixels, for some reason, seem to get confused, and that will cause them to drop off the network. So if your router supports 2.4 and 5 gigahertz connectivity, and you connected to it when it was in that mode where it's broadcasting both, that could also be the issue. This is the problem, is that there are many reasons why this might be happening.
Did this just start, or has it always been the case?
Yeah, about a week ago. Well, less than a week ago, but like towards the end of the week. I thought it might have been an update that might have done it too.
Yeah. Was there a recent update?
To the phone? Not since the 5th of August.
Okay.
Security update.
Yeah,
that was
right.
the last one.
I see on the Reddit thread, a lot of people say there are connection issues because of these. Google's using its own chips, the Tensor chips. And people have said these are part of the problem as well. I would try turning off some of these features. I'd start with adaptive connectivity. I'm trying to remember. I think I turned that off too.
Actually, I think I've tried that, but I'll make sure again. Like, I think I've went through everything that was already on the list.
Oh, you've already done the research.
You guys might have heard something different.
Yeah, no, you're calling as a last resort. Yeah, we only get last resort questions.
I wish I could remember what ended up working for me on the. I'll check it out because it may have just been that.
If you find it, you'll put it in the show notes, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It may have just been that, something ended up. I remember resetting the device entirely. I remember doing so many different things.
Reset the router, reset the device, all of that stuff.
Finally started connecting.
I have to say, though, this Reddit thread is really chilling because there are a lot of people with this problem.
Yeah.
So this was 7 months ago. So, this was an Pixel 7, not a 6. But it sounds like it's not an unusual problem. I have to say, I'm not thrilled with Google's hardware.
But I also like being connected when I'm at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a surprise. I am really disappointed, frankly, with the direction Google has taken with its hardware. And I don't think I'd buy another Pixel phone, to be honest with you. I hate to say it. They'll be announcing a new one next month. We'll be covering that event. But, I foolishly bought the Pixel tablet, Google's new tablet, because I thought this is cool. This docks to the speaker. Then you can take it off.
So cool.
It's a great design, and they screwed it up in every possible way. The speaker has no functionality by itself. It's a tablet, not a home hub, so it doesn't do a lot of things. Some of the things I want it to do, it says, okay, but you got to enter a PIN just like you would with a tablet. But that's not when it's docked. It shouldn't be doing that. And then iFixit just did a teardown and showed all this empty space. They could have put more battery. They didn't. I mean,
it's a bad.
I think Google has lost a lot of mojo. That's all I'm saying. And I'm a little disappointed with the latest Google hardware. And I have a Pixel 7. We'll probably buy an 8 just to keep up with the Joneses. But yeah, it looks like this connectivity problem is not uncommon according to Reddit. So anyway, there's some things to try.
Much.
We'll keep our eye peeled, and if somebody mentions it or calls in, we'll put it in the show notes. Hey, it's great to talk to you.
Yep.
Take care.
Talking to you guys too. Have a good day.
Bye.
You as well.
Sorry we were so useless. Larry's outstanding in his field. I mean, literally. Let's go to Larry right now. Join us in the Stargate. He's actually in his vineyard, I think.
Is it Martha's or his?
It could be Martha's vineyard. Whose vineyard is that, Larry?
That's mine. I'm here in Temecula, California. I called you about a month ago about that magic documentary that I was working on.
Yes. How's that going?
It's going pretty good. I went to that magic convention. I've interviewed a couple documentary filmmakers. I got some pretty good response from the folks at the convention. So I'm
nice.
I'm moving forward.
Have you heard from Steve Martin yet?
I have not, and I'll keep reaching out to him and see if we can connect.
I'll do that back channel thing again. You sent me, it was so cool, the program from that event you put together, and he's his name on it, and I think the problem is, of course, he's Steve Martin, and he probably gets a lot of email and a lot of requests. So, but I'll ping him again.
I appreciate you reaching out to him. What I'm calling about today is to offer a little tip and maybe a little bit of a solution to a problem that we keep hearing on the show.
Good.
Which is, how do I get my headphones and my speakers to work at the same time?
Yes, in fact, I was just faced with that with my mom.
So what I'm about to share is going to sound like a commercial, but it's not, okay? So the name of this product is called Avantry Opera. And the way it works is this is a headphone, a transmitter, and it's on Bluetooth. But they've done a couple of interesting things. First of all, in the transmitter, there is a pass-through. So you would take an optical cord from the TV, put it into this device, which is the transmitter. Then there's a pass which goes to the soundbar. Okay. Now, so and then the second thing that they've really done is they've used Bluetooth, but they've done two things. First of all, they put a class 1 transmitter, so it goes 100 feet as opposed to 30 feet.
Nice.
And the second thing they've done is they're using a special codec in the transmitter and the headphone that is low latency. So the thing really,
because I have to say, I've tried over and over again to get Bluetooth to work with audio, and there's just a slightest latency that makes it unusable. For instance, I'd love to use Bluetooth headphones, but it sounds like it's echoing. You're saying they've solved that?
Yeah, they saw that it's a special codec, and it's hard to find it on normal headphones. So by buying the headphones are comfortable. They work really well. I've been using it for several months now, and it works perfectly. There's absolutely no missync between the audio and the video. So, and my situation's even a little more complex. I have my AV receiver 45 feet away in a media closet.
So you're far away, yeah.
I'm far away.
So the range is great for you, yeah.
My AV receiver luckily has 2 HDMI ports out. Okay?
Yeah.
So I plug in this device, another device, which splits the audio from the HDMI.
Ooh.
And I run that into this device and into the Avantry Opera. And even though it is a room away, several walls or whatever, it's perfectly synced and it works perfectly. So my wife can be at any volume she wants, which is usually typically a lot lower. And this headset setup. It's comfortable, it's nice, and it even has an EQ switch where you can say focus, make it a balanced EQ or make it focused on voice. So
I'm ordering this for Mom right now.
I was thinking, yeah.
Right now, this thing, again, it almost sounds like a commercial, but I'm telling you, Leo, I tried 5 other setups, and this Savantry, they really started out as a company selling ways of adding Bluetooth to your AV receiver.
Yeah.
And all that stuff is okay, but it's regular Bluetooth. But by going with this low latency codec and the long class 1 transmitter, I mean, I think I even got 110 feet away and it was still working fine.
This is really a good solution. I know it sounds like a commercial, but I really appreciate it because I too have this problem. We have a lot of callers, as you pointed out. One of the problems is if you're using the headphone jack on the TV, it cuts out the speakers, so you can be the only person listening. Because this supports aux, HDMI, optical, as well as headphone, you're going to find a way to do this that doesn't impinge on other people in the room. And I think this is really cool.
And then there's another side benefit, which is you can link, I think it is 2 or 3 of these headsets.
Yeah, I love that idea. Yeah.
So you can technically...
And can each headset be a different level?
They can.
Oh, nice.
The volume is at the headset level. So, and there's I think there's a microphone built in. So if you want to mute it and take the phone call, I mean, it's a pretty darn nice solution. And again, it's not a commercial, but I don't remember, but 2 weeks ago, there was a guy that was out doing a walk. He was an IT guy, and he called you, and he had this problem. Like, how come I can't find something simple that I can run my sound bar and my headphone at the same time?
I am buying it for Mom right now. In fact, I'm going to ship it directly to her, and I will be installing that the minute I go back out there. That's great.
It's an easy install, and even they've got it down to where the pairing, it's a one-time thing, and of course it's charging when it's sitting on the transmitter.
Nice. And
the charging time is like ridiculous. It's something like 20 hours of playtime off the charger. So it's, I don't know how they did it. And then, I'm thinking, well, they're not really a headset company, but boy, they did a beautiful job. It's comfortable, very adjustable.
And the sound quality is good and all that stuff.
It is. Nice. It is. It's what my wife is listening to is a 5.1 sound. Right. Mine is of course sort of 2.1 or 2, but
that's good enough.
It does work nice.
Hey, I appreciate that. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say one other caller, this a couple times back, said, should I put Ethernet in the walls? And you recommended putting in conduit.
Yes.
And I did do that in mine. But what I did learn is you got to put a pull string in.
Right. Otherwise, there's no way to get it threaded through the conduit.
Oh no!
Yeah. Well, I think I mentioned that, but maybe only in passing. So.
It's you can do it, but it makes it much more difficult. So anyway, I just want to say thank you to both of you for all the things that I've learned listening to, and I thought, boy, I have an actual tipper solution.
Love it.
It's an obligation to call in.
Thank you. Honestly, even sometimes it feels like it's an advertisement, but the fact is, if you find a great solution and that is a product, that's just how it ends up being. And so anytime we find
do the same thing.
we find stuff that we're going, oh my goodness, like iMazing, for example. They're not a sponsor of the network, but we've talked about them a lot because they're great for doing backups. And it just happens to be, if you make a great thing, then we'll talk about it.
That's great.
I'm buying it right now.
Yeah, we'll let Leo focus on the order. Thank you so much for calling in and sharing that tip, and good luck with everything.
And again, Leo, thanks for the possibility of maybe reaching out to Steve.
Yeah. Let's get that because I really want to see the documentary. That sounds fantastic.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks again, guys. Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye. Thank you.
Wow. We got a great group listening to this show. Very useful. I do want to take another one. Do you have a voicemail? Do you have anything? Yeah, let's do a voicemail.
This is Mike. Go back to the Tech TV days from Worcester, Massachusetts. Have a question about cloning a drive, Windows 10 drive. Did an exact clone, and on both sides of the clone, original and the clone, everything was converted to RAW files. Any answer on that? Thanks.
Raw files.
What is even a RAW file?
What if raw file? We talk about raw with photography.
Do you think it said RAR, maybe?
Yes. RAR. RAR.
It got compressed.
Yeah.
But why did it do both? What program are you using, friend, that it's, if that's the case, maybe it compresses one side to do the clone and then it's supposed to uncompress afterward, whatever program they're using?
Not sure. I mean, I think this is specific to the program. It's one of the reasons I often talk about, when I talk about backup, choosing a backup that is really just copying. If you use a backup, most backup programs create a blob, and you can't really easily verify that you got everything you think you got. Usually they'll have a blob viewer program, but I like to do a backup where it's just a copy of the direct copy of it. It sounds like this was a backup program that doesn't do direct copying, but in fact does some sort of file format. And so don't use that.
Yeah, I don't have any advice without
for Windows.
Answering more
I've
questions.
used Second Copy, which I like from Centered Systems. That's a synchronization program. I use SyncThing nowadays. That's an open source free synchronization program. Same idea. You can keep two folders identical. Windows has some of its own backup capability, and I can't remember if it does. I mean, you can extract the RAR files, I guess, but
yeah,
I wouldn't. It's obviously not what you want. I guess what you really need to do is use the same program to look at to restore the backup, and not just copy the files, but actually restore them using the same program you backed them up with.
If you're listening to this, you might email us or call back in and let us know what program you're using and that kind of thing. That could give us some more information to help you out.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but I think we're out of time. I don't want to end the show. I really don't. I want to keep going.
But alas, we must say goodbye. That said, all throughout the week, you can call us and leave a voicemail, just like our RAR friend did, or Raw friend, by calling 888-724-2884. When you call that number, you can leave a voicemail with your question. Give us some details. That helps us be able to answer specifically your question and provide some feedback. You can also, while we're doing the show on Sundays, starting around about 11:15-ish a.m. Pacific, you can go to call.twit.tv to join us in Zoom, or you can email us, atg@twit.tv. Send us your text, send us your video, send us your audio. All of that can go to atg@twit.tv.
We love hearing from you. Of course, if you're a Club Twit member, you'll get special treatment. No, you won't. But you will get our eternal gratitude. So don't forget, join Club Twit. And even if you're not, you can listen to the show. If you're not a member, you'll get the ads. The best way to do it is to go to techguylabs.com. That's the website, still is, for the show. You can download recent shows. You can find the YouTube channel where you can either watch live or after the fact. And you could, of course, subscribe in your favorite podcast player. That makes it easy to get the show the minute it's available. If you do want to call into the live show, we are on the air from 2 to 5 p.m. roughly Eastern time. That's 11 to 2 our time, Pacific time. In fact, if you're somewhere else in the world, just do the UTC calculation. It's 1800 UTC. The live stream's at twit.tv/live. There's audio and video there. If you're watching live, chat live. We have an IRC, irc.twit.tv. That's open to everyone. You can even use your browser. You don't need a special internet relay chat client or anything like that. Of course, Club Twit members get the fabulous Club Twit Discord. You could chat with us there. And you can chat about everything else you're interested in, because the Discord has many, many areas, many sections. It is a great place to hang up. Hang out, rather. I think she just got hung up on. What else? Is that it? I think that's all we have to say.
Yeah.
Except for thanks for being here.
Thank you for listening, for tuning in, for asking your questions.
That's Mikah Sargent.
That's Leo Laporte.
And I hope you have a great Geek Week.
Bye-bye.
Hey, we should talk Linux. It's the operating system that runs the internet, a bunch of game consoles, cell phones, and maybe even the machine on your desk. But you already knew all that. What you may not know is that TWiT now has a show dedicated to it, the Untitled Linux Show. Whether you're a Linux pro, a burgeoning sysadmin, or just curious what the big deal is, you should join us on the Club TWiT Discord every Saturday afternoon for news, analysis, and tips to sharpen your Linux skills. And then make sure you subscribe to the Club TWiT exclusive Untitled Linux Show. Wait, you're not a Club TWiT member yet? Well, go to twit.tv/clubtwit and sign up. Hope to see you there.